Chapter 1278. Home. His consciousness permeated through the huge black rock. Other than hearing that grand sound, he could also sense the teleportation tunnel. This was a technique more profound than the Great Destruction Realm teleportation technique. With a slight sense, he could sense the other end of the teleportation tunnel, a region that was incomparably far away. It was too far away from the realm heart Great Land. Donghua Shuiying had once traveled between his hometown Primal Chaos Void and the realm heart Great Land. The distance between these two places was considered far, but compared to the distance teleported by this huge black rock, it was many times further away. It was an extremely remote region. Furthermore, he could vaguely sense violence and chaos. Furthermore, just by sensing it from afar, the terrifying law of that region had actually affected Donghua Shuiying, affecting Donghua Shuiying's body, causing his strength to drop by 10%. Did you sense it? Supreme Vast Ancient said from the side. That region is absolutely not an ordinary origin world. It is impossible for an origin world to affect our strength just by sensing it from such a far distance. Furthermore, reaching our level, it is pointless to send us to other origin worlds. I suspect it might be a slightly unique region in the chaotic origin dimension. Donghua Shuiying nodded as he listened. It was indeed strange. Just sensing it from such a far distance was enough to affect his strength. That was too frightening. It is too far away from the realm heart Great Land. It is so far that the moment we leave, we might never return. Furthermore, Yuan mentioned that we have to temper ourselves under different civilizations and compete with experts from different civilizations. Supreme Vast Ancient said, I'm afraid we will meet a group of opponents who could fight against us. I have reached grand perfection emperors, yet I can still meet opponents? This huge black rock seems to lead to a very strange region. We Supremes are not willing to fight until the very last moment. Supreme Vast Ancient said. Donghua Shuiying nodded. Once we are done, you can come back and explore it. It is time for us to leave. Supreme Vast Ancient chuckled. Let's go. Donghua Shuiying also chuckled and accompanied Supreme Vast Ancient. They left this light ball dimension together. Before leaving, Donghua Shuiying could not help but look around. Through the membrane, he could see the two terrifying chaotic origin lifeform corpses in Broken Teeth Mountain Range. He then glanced at that huge black rock. So, the two left. Xiao Chan accompanied Supreme Vast Ancient in his sea of consciousness, heading to the various light spheres. On the Meridian Channel, Donghua Shuiying closed in quickly, but he gradually stopped. Hoo-hoo-hoo. The black wind whistled and blew on his body. Although it was not as violent as the black vortex at the entrance of the Snake Tooth Corridor, the black wind was still very corrosive. It consumed the power of the snake tooth pearl that Donghua Shuiying carried with him. He ignored the black wind and tried his best to move forward. However, the oppressive feeling emitted by the light sphere in front of him continued to increase. The closer he got, the stronger the pressure became. I can't take it anymore. Donghua Shuiying suddenly felt dizzy. His consciousness was blurry and his soul was in pain. Retreat. He could only turn into a beam of light and retreat rapidly. As he retreated at high speed, the pressure on him weakened rapidly, and he felt much more relaxed. Just a little bit more. I didn't think that if even you, Imperial Emperor Fei Xue, can enter, who can? Supreme Vast Ancient shook his head. The pressure is too terrifying. Donghua Shuiying sighed. He was very confident in his soul techniques, but he had still been forced to retreat. Haha, let's go to the next one. Supreme Vast Ancient didn't seem to mind at all. He continued to lead Donghua Shuiying. If he could enter on his own, he would have long since entered. He had sent Donghua Shuiying there, but now he was unable to enter. That was why he had sent Donghua Shuiying to try. It was another light ball dimension. Although the pressure was still very strong, as Donghua Shuiying drew closer, he couldn't help but feel delighted. It seems to be a bit easier. I might be able to enter now. His premonition was right. Although he was very close to the light sphere and the pressure was very strong, Donghua Shuiying was still able to enter it before he reached his limits. Good. When Autark Vast Ancient saw this, A look of delight appeared on his face. Buzz. Within the light sphere. After Donghua Shui Ying entered, he saw many sparkling snowflakes floating around. With a glance, there were more than 100 million of them. Countless snowflakes floated around, causing the entire light sphere to feel like a dream. This is... Donghua Shui Ying had a guess at that moment. Memory fragments? He had long heard from Supreme Vast Ancient that there were some remnant memory fragments in the space of light, and the memory fragments in the sea of consciousness were divided into different categories. If there were memory fragments in every ball of light, they would all be of the same type. These memory fragments were not dangerous. Even after those terrifying chaotic origin life forms fell, the remnant memory fragments would leave a deep impression on them. What is this? Donghua Shui Ying sent a strand of his consciousness into one of the floating snowflakes in front of him. At the moment he sent his consciousness in, his consciousness boomed. He saw a huge snake. This snake was incomparably huge. It was entrenched within a piece of dark, gray, chaotic origin dimension. It let out a furious roar. Clearly, it was infuriated. Following that strange snake tail flashed before piercing through trillions of spatial zones. It was as if the snake tail had split into trillions. The trillions of snake tail pierced through trillions of spatial zones. At the same time, it faintly pierced through an equally terrifying existence. That existence was incredibly powerful. There were unseen laws that interfered with the other party. Donghua Shui Ying could not see the appearance of the other party at all. This memory fragment was gone. Battle? Donghua Shui Ying thought. Just a single move? He could see that the battlefield was within the chaotic origin dimension. The terrifying chaotic origin energy that corroded him was like air to the huge snake. A single move from the huge snake had affected so many spatial zones. And an expert that could fight against the huge snake without losing out should not be too far from Yuan, even if he was not as strong as Yuan. Following that, Donghua Shui Ying continued looking at other memory fragments. More than 100 million memory fragments. Donghua Shui Ying consecutively looked through more than 100 memory fragments. All of them were actually of the huge snake executing its snake tail, piercing through trillions of spatial zones. This technique would almost always strike the enemy in the end. Finally, there is one that is slightly different. Donghua Shui Ying saw another memory fragment. In that memory fragment, the huge snake was meandering through the vast primal chaos void. He could clearly see that its body was longer than an origin world. But in terms of size, it was much smaller than an origin world. When he finished looking through the millions of memory fragments, Donghua Shui Ying made his judgment. He saw a total of 3 types of memory fragments. One was the stabbing technique executed by the snake tail, another was the flying of the huge snake, and the last was the scene of the huge snake coiling around its body and turning into an illusory slumber. Every time it fell asleep, it would completely turn into an illusory state. Even though there are more than 100 million memory fragments, I've randomly chosen a few million memory fragments without any pattern, only to find that all of them are of these 3 types. Shui Ying thought, I'm afraid that all the memory fragments are of these 3 types. And these 3 are unquestionably memory fragments for the Tao of Void. Donghua Shui Ying's eyes brightened. He was very excited. It was normal for him to see memory fragments. Supreme Vast Ancient and the others had seen them before. But this was the first time he saw them, and he discovered that they were memory fragments for the Tao of Void. Naturally, Donghua Shui Ying was delighted. The huge snake was an innate chaotic origin life form. The techniques it executed were innate. It's just that the huge snake had unleashed them to a certain pinnacle. Otherwise, it would not be qualified to challenge Yuan. These 3 techniques allowed Donghua Shui Ying to feel the direction of the chaotic origin level in the Tao of Void. Strictly speaking, these were 3 different directions. Just like the chaotic origin 7 strikes, it allowed Donghua Shui Ying to trace back to the foundation of the void, the chaotic origin energy. As for the supreme secret importation technique, Void Blossom, that Emperor Summer acquired, It was a form of life energy that was not any weaker than the chaotic origin energy. Different directions determine the grasp of different energy. I'm still far from reaching the chaotic origin level. Dong was shui, and it was clear at this point. How hard was it to reach the final realm from level 2 Cosmos God? How many difficulties did he overcome? And from the final realm to the chaotic origin level. In reality, this was the most fundamental leap from an origin world life form to a chaotic origin life form. How many absolute experts were stuck at this step? Ever since the birth of the realm heart great land, undying underworld emperor, Emperor Summer, limitless city master, ancestor fan, none of them could become a chaotic origin life form. Like Dongbua Shui Ying's hometown origin world, there had never been anyone in history who could become a chaotic origin life form. Becoming a chaotic origin life form was an unfathomably difficult step. He had to calm his heart and make preparations to advance step by step. Qi Dongbua Shui Ying stood within this light ball dimension. His body split into a white-robed figure. One person turned into two. I'll leave an avatar here. There aren't any dangers here, and there's no need for me to rely on the energy from the snake-tooth bead to protect myself. I'll let this avatar stay here and comprehend these memory fragments. Dongbua Shuang thought. Even though he only sent an avatar into the snake-tooth corridor, with his strength, he could refine another avatar at any time. At this moment, he left an avatar here, while the other avatar with the snake-tooth bead rapidly left the light ball dimension. Chapter 1279. Outside the clump of light dimension. Dongbua Shuing followed the meridian pathway and soon arrived before the expectant autarch vast ancient. How is it? Autarch vast ancient asked. It's a memory fragment dimension. There are no treasures that can be taken away. Dongbua Shuing said. Oh, autarch vast ancient pondered as he glanced at the other regions. Only by entering the memory fragments and personally viewing them would he be able to gain something. Under the pressure of the soul, he was unable to enter. Naturally, it was useless. However, he didn't mind it too much. After all, memory fragments were only useful if they were related to his own power. Otherwise, their usefulness was negligible. The first time Dongbua Shuing had entered his sea of consciousness, he had obtained a fiery feather. He had thought that it wouldn't be too difficult to take away treasures. Alas, he soon realized that he was wrong. There were only a few hundred clumps of light in the entire sea of consciousness, excluding the ones he couldn't enter and those which autarch vast ancient had entered before. There were only 56 clumps of light that he could enter. Of these 56 clumps of light, only 33 had treasures. The vast majority of them were terrifyingly powerful. Dongbua Shuing was completely swept away, unable to take away any treasures at all. There were only 7 clumps of light. Although Dongbua Shuing had a chance of taking away the treasures, it was just a chance. South Dongbua Shuing staggered out of one of the clumps of light and landed on the meridian pathway. He held a black scale in his hand. You got it. Autarch vast ancient, who was at the distant node, revealed a look of joy when he saw this. He immediately flew over, no longer caring about expending any more energy from the snake-tooth pearl. That was a close shave. I was lucky to get it. Dongbua Shuing looked at the black scale in his hand and sighed. The thing that attracted him the most in the clumps of light was a fawn. It was as sharp as a blade, but the power of the fawn was simply too great. Just the invisible aura it emanated was enough to force him to the point where he was unable to approach it. If he was at autarch vast ancient's level of strength, he might be able to forcibly resist it and continue approaching. Although this black scale was extremely difficult to obtain, he still managed to succeed after 5 tries. All right. When autarch vast ancient received the black scale and sensed the deep destructive power contained within it, he revealed a look of joy. He smiled at Dongbua Shuing. Emperor Feishue, according to our previous agreement, as long as you help me gather 3 treasures, you will be able to move freely. Now you are free to go. I thought that it would be easier to gather the 3 treasures. I didn't expect that after so many times, my snake-tooth pearl's energy would be depleted by more than half. Dongbua Shui Ying said helplessly. Those who need to return will probably have to do so. He had no intention of returning. He had to use every last bit of the snake-tooth pearl's power. I have to thank Monarch Feishua this time around. Autark Vast Ancient was very satisfied with his gains. I still have a long way to go before my snake-tooth pearls run out of energy. I'm planning to go somewhere else. Do you want to come with me? No need. Dongbua Shui Ying replied. Autark Vast Ancient nodded. Then I'll be leaving first. Swoosh. He immediately transformed into a streak of light and flew off into the distance. The snake-tooth corridor was extremely large, and even the brain of the serpents was extremely vast. The Sea of Consciousness was just a bit special. It only occupied a small corner of the snake-tooth corridor. Autark Vast Ancient quickly passed through the membrane and left the Sea of Consciousness, heading towards the other areas of the snake-tooth corridor. Swoosh! Dongbua Shui Ying quickly left the Sea of Consciousness as well. After spending a few seconds, he passed through the blood-colored membrane of the Sea of Consciousness and followed the path he had come from. His flying speed was much slower than Autark Vast Ancient's, and it took him more than 3 days to reach his destination. I'm here. Dongbua Shui Ying flew towards the towering, mountain-like Snake-Tooth Mountain. The Snake-Tooth Mountain was pitch black, and countless cracks could be seen around it. Swoosh! He shot into the skies and flew towards the peak of the Snake-Tooth Mountain. Chi! 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 Countless void cracks appeared. Dongbua Shui Ying could sense them and evade them in advance. When he arrived at the peak of the black Snake-Tooth Mountain, he could see with a single glance that the tip of the snake tooth was incredibly sharp. Dongbua Shui Ying could imagine the scene of this enormous snake biting its enemies. This snake tooth was most likely much more terrifying than his simplified, chaotic origin weapon. The tip of the towering black Snake-Tooth Mountain was extremely sharp. It was like an array formed by countless blades. Furthermore, there were blades everywhere. Under Dongbua Shui Ying's careful observation, he could see the blades becoming bigger and bigger in his vision, until they were bigger than a continent. He could clearly see the strange structure within the blades. Interesting. Dongbua Shui Ying was startled. He frowned slightly. He rapidly descended and sat cross-legged on the peak of the Snake-Tooth Mountain. He sat cross-legged in between the two blades. He was carefully comprehending. At this void, Snake-Tooth Mountain, there were no dangers or ambushes. It did not consume any energy from the snake-tooth bead either. Hence, Dongbua Shui Ying could cultivate to his heart's content. One of his avatars was currently within a light ball dimension, observing those memory fragments and comprehending them. The other avatar, with the snake-tooth bead, was currently at the peak of the black void, Snake-Tooth Mountain. In reality, the moment Dongbua Shui Ying saw the internal structure of the void Snake-Tooth Mountain, he had been attracted. Why? Because this structure was actually very similar to the chaotic origin refinement body third level that he deduced. The third level of chaotic origin refinement body, Dongbua Shui Ying's original intention was to create a perfect body refinement technique. The previous initial version was the result of the clash of intelligence between him and Emperor Summer. This initial version had given him and Emperor Summer the strength of ordinary, unparalleled experts just based on their bodies. But the initial version was still simple and crude. There were many imperfections. Both Dongbua Shui Ying and Emperor Summer wanted to walk in their own direction. Hence, they temporarily parted ways. This void Snake-Tooth Mountain, Dongbua Shui Ying delightfully immersed himself in it. The internal structure of the countless blades was incredibly profound. Dongbua Shui Ying absorbed it, combining it with his original comprehension. Finally, the second version of the third level of chaotic origin refinement body gradually took shape. In the blink of an eye, it had been 8 billion years since Dongbua Shui Ying entered the snake-tooth corridor. At the peak of a towering black snake tooth, a white-robed Dongbua Shui Ying sat cross-legged between two blades. He revealed a joyous look. This time, I will definitely succeed. I feel that it is sufficiently perfect. Let me give it a try. He immediately extended his right hand. Starting from the most minute changes in his body, his right hand underwent a qualitative change. Creating a body refinement technique was like this. Using one's own body to experiment, it would often cause one's body to disintegrate during the process. But as long as one's soul remained intact, one could easily condense a fleshy body with a thought. Dongbo Shuang tried changing his right hand first. One could see Dongbo Shui Ying's right hand's fingernails becoming sharper. They were like divine weapons. The skin on his fingers became harder and sharper. It felt as if the skin on his fingers were formed from countless blades. A terrifying power was accumulating in his right hand. Not good. Just by changing his right hand, Dongbo Shui Ying's expression changed. The terrifying power contained in his right hand had placed a huge burden on his entire body. It felt as if his entire body would collapse if he continued changing it. Even maintaining a terrifying right hand had consumed the energy contained in his body at an insane rate. How could this be? Just maintaining the right hand has consumed my energy so quickly? Dongbo Shuang felt incredibly anxious. Even if it was his fleshy body, it would most likely collapse in the time taken to brew a cup of tea. I failed. Dongbo Shuang shook his head. Theoretically, a perfect fleshy body could exist for eternity. For instance, the third-level initial version of the chaotic origin refinement body consumed a negligible amount of energy, and it was very stable. But now, the second version he comprehended was very unstable. Even maintaining his right hand cost him a huge price. But this is already the most perfect cultivation technique I have comprehended. Dongbo Shuang shook his head. He knew that he had thought of everything he should. He felt that it was perfect and that he could not improve any further. But now, the outcome was far from what he expected. How about the power? Dongbo Shuang tried waving his hand. See la, the 5 fingers on his right hand, no matter if it was his fingernails or his skin, had perfectly fused together with the countless blades on his skin. In an instant, 5 cracks were formed. Dongbo Shuang was slightly startled when he saw this. This was after all the snake tooth corridor, and it was quite amazing for him to have such power. Even though it is far from the grand perfection I seek, in terms of power, it is at least at the Emperor level. What he and Emperor Summer sought was grand perfection. In theory, the third-level grand perfection of the chaotic origin refinement body would at least have a half-chaotic origin life-form body. That was the power of a grand perfection emperor. Furthermore, the two of them desired to jump out of the cage and become a chaotic origin life form. No matter what, it is at least an initial emperor. Dongbo Shuang gave a self-deprecating laugh. How could it be that easy to become a chaotic origin life form? Even a half-chaotic origin life form body is still very far away. Previously, the initial version of the chaotic origin refinement body had the strength of a grand perfection king. But now, even though it was not stable, it was still an initial emperor. It should be around 30% of the strength when he used his chaotic origin weapon, Azure River Spear. Chapter 1280. I can't even stabilize it. This flaw is simply too huge. Dongbo Shuang calmed his heart and pondered over the cultivation technique he created. He even turned into a stream of light and flew towards the other towering black snake-tooth mountains. All 8 void snake-tooth mountains were surrounded by void cracks. Just looking at them would cause one's heart to tremble in fear. Dongbo Shuang stopped in midair. He could only see part of the snake-tooth mountain in his vision, but he could vaguely guess where the problem with his cultivation technique was. Dongbo Shuang shook his head. The black snake tooth contains many profound mysteries of the Tao of Void. It is clearly at the chaotic origin level, and its level is much higher than mine. Nevertheless, this snake tooth is ultimately used for offense. The structure of the countless blades at the peak of the snake tooth is also used for offense and slaughter. I wish to absorb the profound mysteries and fuse them into my body. Naturally, my offense would be strong, but it would be hard for me to stabilize it. Could a purely offensive item be stabilized? Yes. For instance, a chaotic origin weapon, or this void snake tooth. Both were offensive items. Similarly, they could stabilize their existence for eternity. But comparatively speaking, it was easier to balance the various aspects of the body. But it was much harder to maintain a balance with an aggressive attack. It's a pity that I don't have any other materials that I can use for reference. Dongbo Shui shook his head. Even though he had viewed the memory fragments, he could only view some scenes and could not truly analyze them. Like this snake tooth, he could see the internal structure of it. From there, he could modify the structure of his own body. Chaotic origin weapons are basically chaotic origin sand. They are non-living objects. Dongbo Shui shook his head. The snake tooth is, after all, a part of the body. Let's go and have a look at other places. Dongbo Shui had memorized the internal structure of the snake tooth. Furthermore, he could not improve on it within a short period. Hence, it was meaningless for him to stay here. So, turning into a stream of light, Shui continued flying in the snake tooth corridor. In the following days, Dongbo Shui explored the snake tooth corridor to his heart's content. There was no helping it. Although he had asked Supreme Vast Ancient about the snake tooth corridor, and Supreme Vast Ancient had told him a lot about the Tao of Void, Supreme Vast Ancient's answer was, the 8 void snake fangs are the most conspicuous. As for the others, I haven't discovered anything related to the Tao of Void. Of course, I'm not proficient in void techniques, and my eyesight isn't good enough. It's possible that I can't see anything related to the Tao of Void. As for the Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm, although the Snake Tooth Corridor was a legendary forbidden ground, there was nothing related to it. Hometown, Primal Chaos Void, Myriad Ancient Sacred World. In a small city, Dongbo Shui and Jingxiu were currently at a wine shop by the roadside, enjoying the unique delicacies and wine of this wine shop. The waiters of the tavern were serving the customers attentively. They dashed around the tavern and served delicious food and wine. Third brother, have you paid enough to become my disciple? Big brother, rest assured, it's about time. The next time the Fu Tian sect accepts disciples, I'll be able to take them as my teacher. By then, I'll definitely cultivate to the void god realm. By the side, the waiters were slightly free. 2 young waiters were conversing with one another. In what realm did Dongbo Shui and Jingxiu have? They could easily hear the voice transmissions of the 2 true gods. Jingxiu softly said, in this era, there are still many beings cultivating and risking their lives. Nevertheless, the entire primal chaos void is expanding continuously. It's getting closer to the great apocalypse. It's still too early. Dongbo Shui chuckled. There are still more than 10 trillion years. That's right. But during the great apocalypse, everything will become empty. There are only a few that you can bring away. Snow Eagle. Jingxiu looked at those young waiters who were filled with vigor. Dongbo Shui nodded. Bringing living beings to other origin worlds was not an easy task, even for him who had reached the final realm in the Tao of Void. Even his loved ones and good friends had to be brought over many times. Hence, it was destined that he could only bring a few. This era, Dongbo Shui was currently the strongest expert standing at the apex in both his hometown and in the Realm Heart Great Land. But similarly, he had many unfinished matters. For instance, the enemy who killed his teacher Gu Qi, Sacred Master. Dongbo Shui was naturally not willing to let the Sacred Master, who had killed countless people, live. But if we were to reach the next era, even if we could resist against the supreme law, we would still fall into a deep slumber during the incubation period of the next era. Dongbo Shui understood this point. I am stronger than Sacred Master. It is possible for me to fall into a deep slumber for a longer period. During this period, there might be variables. It was impossible to resist against the supreme law within an origin world. Even terrifying chaotic origin experts like Yuan and Lord Lo Chung would be suppressed after entering an origin world. Hence, the strength they could exert was limited. If I want to kill him, this era is the best opportunity. But in the past, when Sword Master pursued after Sacred Master many times, he could only injure Sacred Master lightly. Sacred Master did not even lose more than half of his life force. Currently, I can only maintain my strength at the unparalleled level. I am slightly stronger than Sword Master. Dongbua Shui Ying was clear that unparalleled strength could not kill ordinary Final Realm experts in a single move. Even if he had many avatars, he could not do so. Currently, Sacred Master was hiding in the Lost World Corridor. It was hard to find him. After all, the moment Sacred Master transformed into an ordinary destruction devil, Shui Ying could not even recognize him. He ultimately did not have the ability to trace a Final Realm expert. Wait till I become stronger. I will sweep across the entire Lost World Corridor. No matter what, I will absolutely not allow Sacred Master to live till the next era. A cold light flashed in the eyes of Dongbua Shui Ying. Previously, he was not confident, but the improvement of his chaotic origin refinement technique had given him confidence. As long as his body refinement technique improved slightly, he would be able to sweep across all enemies. Within the consciousness of the Forbidden Ground Snake Tooth Corridor, within the largest light ball dimension, Dongbua Shui Ying came here once again. During this period of exploration, the snake tooth bead energy in his body had been consumed to the last strand. Standing in this light ball dimension, Shui Ying looked at the enormous snake corpse and the thousand-eyed monster corpse in the Broken Teeth Mountain Range. I am unparalleled in the Realm Heart Great Land and the Primal Chaos Void. There are many emperors in the Broken Teeth Mountain Range who are stronger than me, but they cultivate their bloodline energy. It isn't helpful to me at all. Dongbua Shui Ying shook his head, but even after cultivating to this stage, my Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm has yet to reach the final realm, much less the chaotic origin level. My Tao of Void isn't even stable enough to become an initial emperor. I'm still far from reaching the chaotic origin level. I should just immerse myself in cultivation. How difficult is it to break through to the chaotic origin level using strength? Dongbua Shui Ying sighed. Perhaps it might be more hopeful for him to cultivate more Tao paths and control the origin source of an origin world, spreading faith and using the faith of all living beings to control the origin of the world. It was too difficult to gain the faith of a cultivator who pursued freedom. As for soul control, Dongbua Shui Ying was also very disdainful. Let's go take a look at other civilizations. What kind of place is it? Just by sensing it from afar, it could instill fear in me and affect my strength. Dongbua Shui Ying arrived before that huge black rock. Previously, Great Emperor North River had entered and left. For example, the 5 Great Supremes who had come here before all sensed that this was an extremely dangerous path, so they wouldn't rashly choose this path. Dongbua Shui Ying was too young. Even if Shui Ying did not roam the world and just focused on cultivation, with his cultivation speed, it was still possible for him to reach the chaotic origin level. But isn't it just a clone? Dongbua Shui Ying had countless clones, so why would he care about a single clone? Let's go take a look. Dongbua Shui Ying's body was filled with curiosity and anticipation as he came into contact with the black boulder. He was instantly sucked into it. Chapter 1281. So, Dongbua Shui Ying only felt his entire body being wrapped within a blood-red water bubble. Closely following that, he was rapidly shuttling through the vast chaotic origin dimension. Too fast, Dongbua Shui Ying looked around him. He could see the outside world through the water bubble, but everything became blurry. Furthermore, there was a vast origin world that disappeared from his vision with his schwa. He could not even see what that origin world looked like. Following that schwa, many origin worlds flashed and disappeared. Occasionally, he would see some huge chaotic origin life forms. He could barely discern their silhouettes before the other party disappeared from his vision. Who is that? He is so formidable in traveling through the chaotic origin dimension. An enormous multi-headed monster with more than 100 pairs of eyes stared at the direction where that streak disappeared. He could not help but mutter inwardly, Such a terrifying chaotic origin expert would most likely look down on me. But it's better for me to hide further away. This multi-headed monster immediately changed his direction. It was much faster than when he relied on the Realm Heart order to arrive at the Realm Heart Great Land. It was also much faster than when he executed the Great Destruction Realm Teleportation Technique. The Great Destruction Realm Teleportation Technique was created by sneaking around and carefully separating the chaotic origin energy before proceeding forward. But now that he was wrapped within this blood-red water bubble, he was proceeding forward openly. Chaotic origin energy could not disturb him at all. Furthermore, it was so fast that even chaotic origin life forms could barely see a trace of it before disappearing from their senses. It was too fast. This blood-red water bubble wrapped around Dongbua Shui Ying as it passed through over 300 origin worlds. Dongbua Shui Ying had memorized every single one of them. Hong Long Long. Suddenly, a golden world appeared in the distance. That golden world emitted golden lightning that clashed against the chaotic origin energy of the chaotic origin dimension. This made Dongbua Shui Ying startled and puzzled. Why is it like this? The origin worlds I have seen before have always coexisted perfectly with the chaotic origin dimension. The ripples emitted by the origin world forced the chaotic origin energy to retreat slightly. Both did not clash too much. But why would this world clash so much with the chaotic origin dimension? He was still puzzled in his heart. This blood-red water bubble wrapped around Dongbua Shui Ying before charging into that golden lightning world. It was too fast. The blood-colored bubble arced through the chaotic origin dimension, leaving behind a blood-red afterimage. Even though the golden lightning world was abnormally violent and many lightning bolts struck against the surrounding chaotic origin dimension, the chaotic origin dimension could not withstand it. However, it was unable to shake the blood-colored bubble in the slightest. The blood-colored bubble forcefully dispersed all the lightning that came towards it and instantly rushed into the world of golden lightning. What happened? Who has come to our world? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Under the protection of the blood-colored bubble, Dongbua Shui Ying forced his way into this world. Very soon, 3 figures appeared from the golden lightning world. The 3 of them emitted the aura of a chaotic origin expert. Their auras were grand and mighty. They even caused the surrounding golden lightning and chaotic origin energy to become much more docile. The 3 of them carefully looked around, using all sorts of tracing and time reversal techniques to investigate. No, I clearly sensed that a foreign object had rushed into our world. But why couldn't he find anything? Last time, I also sensed a foreign object coming in, but I couldn't find it. Strange. After discussing with each other, the 3 of them had no choice but to retreat for the time being. Pung pung pung. Dongbua Shui Ying remained within the blood-colored bubble. He could only feel the violent and crazy golden lightning constantly striking against this blood-colored bubble. It made Dongbua Shui Ying feel the threat of death. But everything was blocked by the blood-colored bubble. Such madness and violence. Previously, the world I sensed in the light ball dimension in the snake-tooth corridor should be this world. Dongbua Shui Ying deduced. Who? The blood-colored bubble had already rushed into the golden lightning world. With a flash, it disappeared into a certain location. This speed, Dongbua Shui Ying currently stood on a piece of wilderness. He revealed a bitter smile. Previously, he felt that he had just passed through the golden lightning world, and the next moment, he arrived at this wilderness. Because the speed was too fast, he could not see it clearly at all, but it was normal. An existence as big as an origin world could easily pass through with the speed of the blood-colored bubble. It was so fast that he could not see it clearly. If I activate it, I can head to the next world? Dongbua Shui Ying lowered his head and looked at his wrist. A blood-colored imprint appeared on his wrist. Following that, the imprint disappeared and concealed itself. The energy contained within this blood-colored bubble could be activated twice more. Every time it was activated, it could send him to another world. 3 worlds with different civilizations, This was an opportunity given by Yuan to those experts who could reach the depths of the consciousness of the Snake Tooth Corridor. Great Emperor North River should have arrived at this world too. Suddenly, Shui Ying's expression changed. Every part of his body was undergoing a transformation. It was as if the bricks and stones of a skyscraper were breaking apart. Naturally, the entire skyscraper was also gradually entering the state of collapse. Why is this happening? Why is my body? Dongbo Shui Ying started panicking. His body was collapsing, and it was collapsing from every single particle. Not just that, Dongbo Shui Ying could feel his perception of the surrounding void becoming blurry. Being a final realm Dao, a void expert, his control of the void was incredibly formidable. But the space of this world did not seem to be obedient. Most of the profound mysteries he grasped in the Tao of void were ineffective before the space of this world. Voidification? He tried voidification. The surrounding void slightly warped, yet his body did not transform. It was still collapsing. Why is this happening? I am a final realm Tao of void. So why is my Tao of void useless? Different origin worlds would have different low-leveled laws. But cosmos gods have their own laws, and the Tao of cosmos gods should be universal across many origin worlds. Dongbo Shui Ying was suddenly stunned. But what if I didn't enter an origin world? Judging from his situation when he was teleported in, that golden lightning world was constantly charging against the chaotic origin dimension. It was violent and crazy. Both worlds could not coexist perfectly. And this is the Great Earth. Dongbo Shui Ying looked down at the ground. He lightly extended his hand to touch it. The soil and gravel on the ground were extremely heavy. It even contained a dense aura of chaotic origin energy. It felt as if every piece of soil and gravel was condensed from chaotic origin energy. Every piece of soil and gravel was incredibly heavy. Ordinary true gods could not even lift up a fist-sized rock. The gravitational force was ridiculously strong. The entire world was emitting a crazy aura of chaos and violence. The laws were also leaning towards chaos and violence. This shouldn't be an origin world. An origin world nurtures the myriad beings and protects their growth. How could it be so chaotic and violent? Dongbo Shui Ying thought. I understand now. The Tao at the cosmos god level is universal across many origin worlds. But this shouldn't be an origin world, since even my Tao of void is being greatly affected. Dongbo Shui Ying understood this point. The chaotic origin refinement body created based on the Tao of void should be fundamentally incompatible with this world. That is why my body is starting to collapse. Even though his body was collapsing, Dongbo Shui Ying did not panic, because he discovered a piece of good news other than the bad news. My Tao of mirage and illusory realm isn't affected at all. Dongbo Shui Ying was inwardly delighted. The Tao of mirage and illusory realm was a Tao of soul. It targeted the soul. Soul, no matter the many origin worlds or even this world which he entered, they should be fundamentally the same. He could similarly use the Tao of mirage and illusory realm. But my body, Dongbo Shui Ying, was slightly anxious. His body was starting to collapse from the most minute parts. Unless he was relying on his soul to roam outside. Previously, when I controlled the Tao of void, I discovered that most of the techniques are ineffective, yet there are some parts that are still useful. Dongbo Shui Ying rapidly deduced. His soul was exceptionally strong. Even at this place, he could still connect with the memories of his avatars in the realm Heart Great Land and Primal Chaos Void. For a moment, many avatars were doing their best to deduce the current situation. He had to resolve this predicament as soon as possible. No matter what, he had to maintain his fleshy body. Just as Dongbo Shui Ying was seated cross-legged in the wilderness, trying his best to slow down the collapse of his body and deducing at the same time. The fluctuations caused by the unstable aura of his body had already attracted an uninvited guest. So, a black light shot down from the horizon towards Dongbo Shui Ying. Dongbo Shui Ying looked up. That was a bird with black feathers all over its body. It had a pair of jade-green eyes and a wingspan of a few thousand meters. At this moment, this ferocious bird had already treated Ying as its food, and it directly pounced down. Chapter 1282. This ferocious bird swooped down. The raging winds caused by its wings turned into countless wind blades that slashed through the air, whistling towards the area where Dongbua Ying was. Some of the wind blades slashed over, and a black flower appeared around Dongbua Ying. The black flower closed up to protect Dongbua Ying, but the wind blades slashed onto the black flower, causing it to tremble as if it was about to collapse. Dongbua Ying was not startled by this. Instead, he was delighted. What a formidable creature. My Tao of mirage and illusory realm, the illusory descent into reality, did not spend too much effort on direct combat. Nevertheless, these techniques are at the strength of ordinary cosmos gods. Just the wind blades produced by this bird's wings are so powerful that it should be at least at the level 2 cosmos god realm in direct combat, a killer move that descended from the void into reality. Dongbua Ying had once researched on this technique when he was at the primal chaos realm. Later on, after stepping into the cosmos god realm in the Tao of Void, Dongbua Ying no longer researched on this technique. After all, even if he spent more effort, he would only reach the level 2 cosmos god standard. After all, the Tao of mirage and illusory realm wasn't specialized in direct combat. Doing so would be a waste of time. Since I've come to this world, I've finally met a living being. Dongbua Ying was overjoyed. Buzz, a single thought. The mirage and illusory realm had already enveloped that ferocious bird. That ferocious bird was originally abnormally violent, but following that, its eyes dimmed and its body slammed into the ground with a loud bang, sending countless gravel flying. These gravel were extremely heavy, and it was rare for it to be able to send so much of it flying. Strange. Dongbua Ying frowned slightly. This ferocious bird's consciousness was dragged into the mirage illusory realm, but its consciousness was obviously only slightly better than that of a wild beast. In its life, it had met a few humanoid experts, and some of them were eaten by it directly. There were some that it observed from afar and felt threatened, so it quickly fled, not daring to approach. There was very little useful information in the vicious bird's long lifespan. However, there were still many human experts who were seriously injured by it, or who shouted angrily before being swallowed. In total, there were thousands of sentences. Dongbua Ying quickly deduced the language of this world. The information that could be deduced from these thousands of sentences was pitifully little. It knows so little. Forget it, let it go. Dongbua Ying's heart stirred. The consciousness of this ferocious bird was too easily influenced by him, a peerless expert in the Tao of mirage and illusory realm. The ferocious bird that had crashed into the ground woke up in a daze. It looked around, and when it saw Dongbua Ying, it was as if it had seen something terrifying. With a flap of its wings, it turned into a streak of light and flew away, disappearing into the distance. Dongbua Ying watched from afar, and he pondered, in the memory of this ferocious bird, I don't think I saw any human experts that could teleport. Is teleportation very difficult in this world? He was a Void Tao, Final Realm expert. Teleportation was like an instinct to him. But currently, many laws and profound mysteries related to the Tao of Void were incompatible with this world. Even his powerful fleshy body that was created by the chaotic origin refinement body was collapsing. Don't think too much about it. I'll stabilize my body first. Dongbua Ying tried his best to stabilize his body. His avatars in both the Realm Heart Great Land and Primal Chaos Void Origin worlds had long found a direction. There were many laws and profound mysteries related to the final Realm Tao of Void. Even though many were incompatible with this world, some were still useful. His current method was to use these laws and profound mysteries as a foundation to deduce more laws and profound mysteries that were compatible with this world. Furthermore, he had to modify the chaotic origin refinement body cultivation technique to make it simpler. The simpler it was, that would reduce the conflict he had with this world. If he could use the laws and profound mysteries related to this world to form a cultivation technique, there should be no conflict when he reconstructed his fleshy body. But that way, his fleshy body would be too weak. Hence, he had to form a balance between strength and stability. And this required time. A huge ship was currently flying at high speed amidst the clouds. The ship was luxurious, and there were many soldiers standing on the deck guarding the surroundings. And there was a pair of young and beautiful girls currently standing on the deck. They held onto the railings and looked down at the vast land beneath them. On the vast land, there was a lake sparkling in the distance. With a glance, one could see huge, desolate beasts drinking water in that vast lake. The scenery of the great wilderness is really beautiful. A girl in a light blue robe chuckled. She looked at the scenery of the great wilderness illuminated by the sun. I really wish I could be like Big Brother in the past, roaming the great wilderness alone. Little miss, the great wilderness is very dangerous. The green-robed female attendant added. Those tribes that survive in the great wilderness are pathetically few in number. Furthermore, all of them have a hard time surviving. They have to fight against the desolate beasts. It is still fine if Little Miss brought along a large group of protectors, but to roam the great wilderness alone, that would at least have the strength of a god monarch. Big Prince is currently a peak stage god monarch. Shearer, are you saying that your Little Miss is not strong enough? The girl in a light blue robe looked at the female attendant and snorted. Little Miss has a noble bloodline. With the city master personally guiding you, it is naturally easy for you to become a god monarch. But now you are indeed lacking. The green-robed female attendant giggled. You are becoming more and more lawless. You even dare to tease your Little Miss. The girl in a light blue robe snorted coldly, but she soon chuckled. She had known this female attendant for too long. They had accompanied each other since they were young. Naturally, she did not mind. The girl in a light blue robe was enjoying the scenery of the great wilderness. With a large group of experts on the ship, those desolate beasts in the great wilderness would not dare to offend them. Amen? The eyes of the girl in a light blue robe suddenly brightened. She pointed to the distance. Hurry up and look, there is someone there. The green-robed female attendant was startled too. There is really someone. Dongbua Shui Ying sat cross-legged in the wilderness. He had also noticed a huge ship flying over from the distance. The huge ship had a grand aura. There were no desolate beasts that dared to offend it. After deducing for half a day, I can barely maintain this fleshy body at the final realm. Dongbua Shui Ying felt helpless. He had used the laws and profound mysteries of the Tao of Void that would not cause any conflict with this world as the foundation to simplify the chaotic origin refinement body technique. Even though it was greatly simplified, there were still many profound mysteries that would cause conflict with the world. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to deduce a sufficiently powerful body refinement technique in a short period just by relying on those few profound mysteries. A technique that was too weak. Dongbua Shui Ying felt that it was too weak. Currently, I can barely maintain the stability of my fleshy body. Even though the interior of my body is crumbling slightly, the natural recovery of my body is able to offset this slight crumbling. Dongbua Shui Ying thought. His body was constantly in the state of injury and recovery. Currently, his recovery speed was greater than the rate of injury. Naturally, he could maintain his stability. At the very least, his fleshy body was maintained at the final realm strength. One had to know that the initial version of the third level of the chaotic origin refinement body was at the unparalleled level. Furthermore, the second version that he pondered over had reached the initial emperor level. And now, it had fallen to the doorstep of the final realm. Furthermore, he had to suppress his injuries at all times. Next, I'll need time to slowly ponder over it. Dongbua Shui Ying thought. That huge ship flew above Dongbua Shui Ying. At the bow of the ship, that light blue robe girl looked down curiously at Dongbua Shui Ying. By the side, a cold old man appeared. That cold old man said, "Third lady, you should be careful. Those who roam the great wilderness are all lawless. Third lady should maintain some distance from him." "Housekeeper Yin, how is he? Why do I feel that something is wrong with him?" the light blue-robed girl asked. This cold old man stood at the bow of the ship. Suddenly, a third eye opened on his forehead. This third eye was emitting a misty jade green light. Looking down, the cold old man sneered. "This person has barely reached the god monarch realm, but his injuries are very serious. He is currently doing his best to treat his injuries. An initial god monarch dares to roam the great wilderness? Humph, he is truly seeking death. He is injured. Let's help him. In the great wilderness, there might be powerful desolate beasts attacking him at any time," the light blue-robed girl said. "Third lady is too benevolent." The cold old man shook his head. "This person whose origin is unknown, or—" The cold old man suddenly revealed a look of shock. "What's wrong? Housekeeper Yin?" There were a few other generals around. All of them looked at Housekeeper Yin. Housekeeper Yin was the true controller of this fleet. Of course, the nominal leader was the third lady. The third eye on the cold old man's forehead continuously flashed with jade green light. He carefully looked down at Dongbua Shuang. He actually hasn't condensed a deity heart? Without condensing a deity heart, he has already reached the god monarch realm. It seems that he is purely cultivating his body to such a level, and I can't sense any bloodline aura from him. He isn't a citizen of the divine world. He is an ascendant from the lower realm. An ascendant? I heard that there are many dimensions in the lower realm, but those who can ascend to our divine world are few and far between. The ship was instantly filled with discussions. There were very few ascendants in the divine world. An ascendant who hasn't condensed the deity heart is able to reach the god monarch realm in terms of body cultivation. The cold old man looked down at Dongbua Shuang and revealed a smile. "Third lady, this old servant feels that third lady's words make sense. We should help such an expert." Chapter 1283. Shuang sat cross-legged in the wilderness, looking up at the towering ship high up in the sky. There were 2 flags fluttering on the ship, each of which had 2 different words written on it. Shuang only understood the language of this world and did not know how to write the words. Even though he only understood the language of this world and did not know how to write the words, Dongbua Shuang immediately understood the meaning of these words. Clearly, his realm had reached an extremely profound level. Even words contained endless profundity. There were 2 words on one flag, meaning high mountain. The other flag had 2 words on it, imperial wind. What a strange probing technique. When that cold old man opened his third eye on that ship, that jade green eye looked downwards, Dongbua Shuang had a feeling of being seen through. Of course, his Tao of mirage and illusory realm was not affected. If he wanted to, he could easily conceal his strength, but he still decided to reveal part of his strength. He would conceal his soul slightly. As for his fleshy body, there was no need to conceal it, because not just that bird, the protectors on the ship, the cold old man, and many other experts, all of them had extremely tyrannical bodies. For instance, the aura emitted by that cold old man was even stronger than his. One could see 6 figures flying down from the ship. The leading one was that cold old man. Behind him were 5 soldiers. The cold old man looked at Dongbua Shuang and chuckled. "The few of us are from the High Mountain Macaws clan. Seeing that you are alone in this great wilderness, and that your body seems to be heavily injured, our clan's young miss is willing to help you out of kindness and bring you along. Are you willing to follow us to the High Mountain City? I am currently struggling against many dangers. If I can escape from this place, I'm naturally willing." Dongbua Shuang had already stood up. He took the initiative to say he needed a quiet and safe place to properly cultivate and improve his strength. On the other hand, he also needed to integrate into the group of experts in this world so that he could understand this world better. "What is your name, and where did you come from?" the cold old man asked. "This little one is called Fei Xue. I don't have a home. and have always been traveling alone. Dongbua Shui Ying politely replied. The cold old man nodded slightly. That's right. The hometowns of you ascenders are all in a certain space in the lower realm. Fei Shue, you can call me Butler Yin. Come with me now. With that, the stern-faced old man led the 5 soldiers and quickly flew towards the large ship in the sky. Dongbua Shui Ying quickly followed behind him. He flew onto the ship. I'm Nobike's Kiyoshi. A lady in a light blue robe looked at Dongbua Shui Ying curiously. She smiled and said, I heard from Butler Yin that you're an ascendant? Dongbua Shui Ying smiled. Ascender? What the hell was that? Just now, Housekeeper Yin had also mentioned ascenders, but Dongbua Shui Ying was completely confused. Now that this woman, who was obviously of a higher status, had asked him a question, Dongbua Shui Ying could only smile and reply. This is my family's 3rd Mississippi. Housekeeper Yin looked at Dongbua Shui Ying coldly and said, I'm willing to save you and bring you away from here. It's also 3rd Miss's orders. Fei Shue thanks 3rd Miss for saving my life. Dongbua Shui Ying immediately said, It's a small matter. It's not worth mentioning. This 3rd Miss Nobike's Kiyoshi continued to ask, I heard that the hometowns of you ascenders are completely different from our god realm. Can you tell me more about it? I've always been curious about it. It's a pity that we from the god realm are unable to descend. Cough, cough, cough. Dongbua Shui Ying suddenly coughed a few times. His face was flushed red, and there were traces of blood at the corner of his mouth. He could only pretend to be injured. He didn't dare to answer. After all, he was completely clueless about the ascenders and the god realm. If he answered casually and exposed himself, who knew what the consequences would be? This team seemed to have quite a powerful background. They might even have a way to communicate with their family. If he were to expose himself, their family would immediately know about it. If things got out of hand, it would be disadvantageous to him. It was better to keep a low profile and quickly integrate into this world. You're injured? Do you need our help? Nobike's Kiyoshi looked at Butler Yin. Butler Yin, can you see if there's any way to treat his injuries? His injuries are very unique. Even I can't see through it. I only know that his body is trying its best to suppress it, but it's unable to heal completely. Butler Yin shook his head. It's fine. Previously, I wasn't able to fully focus on healing my injuries. As long as I find a safe place to meditate and spend some time, I will be able to recover. Dongbua Shui Ying said. Powerful cultivators usually had incomparably strong vitality and recovery abilities. When Dongbua Shui Ying said that he would be able to handle it, everyone believed him. Then be careful. 3rd Miss Nobike's Kiyoshi instructed. Butler Yin, hurry and arrange a place for him to rest and heal his injuries. Yes, 3rd Mississippi, Butler Yin replied. Jia. Within an unremarkable cabin on the ship, Butler Yin pushed open the door and entered. He nonchalantly said, You will stay in this room. Also, 3rd Miss has a kind temperament. She isn't like you ascendants who climbed up step by step. All of you are cunning and scheming. You better not play any tricks on 3rd Mississippi. 3rd Miss might be deceived by you, but you can't deceive me. If you dare to deceive the head of the High Mountain Macaws clan, you will die miserably. Do you understand? Butler Yin can be rest assured. 3rd Miss has saved my life before. I don't even have enough time to repay her kindness. Why would I repay her kindness with enmity? Dongbua Shui Ying replied. There are plenty of people who repay kindness with enmity. I've already said it, and you should remember it in your heart. Butler Yin glanced at Dongbua Shui Ying. His eyes were filled with coldness. He then turned around and left. The door closed. Dongbua Shui Ying sat down cross-legged by himself. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. He had just entered this world, and it was his weakest and most ignorant period. He was most afraid of accidentally exposing himself and attracting a huge wave of enemies. It might even become more and more chaotic. Those who could enter the Forbidden Ground Snake-Tooth Corridor had chosen to take the final gamble and were sent here by Yuan. How could such a place be ordinary? Dongbua Shui Ying shook his head. There should at least be existences that could threaten a grand perfection Emperor Rel Supreme, right? It was better to remain low profile in such a place. Dongbua Shuang was on the ship. He did not search the memories of others to prevent himself from being discovered. He merely used some simple techniques, using the mirage and illusory realm, to make others have a good impression of him. He deliberately led some people to say many things, allowing Dongbua Shuang to gradually understand more about this sentence. So that's the case. Dongbua Shuang was enlightened. This world is the divine realm. There are many other lower-graded spaces that they call the lower realms. There are many spaces in the lower realms, and only the strongest experts can ascend to the divine realm. Brother Feishua, the one who was chatting with Dongbua Shuang, was a protector by the side of the ship. The protector was also bored. He chuckled. I have only heard of ascendants in the past. You are the first ascendant I have met. According to the legends, even though there are quite a few ascendants who came to the divine realm, they are scattered across the vast divine realm. Naturally, there are very few of them. Furthermore, even if you are in front of me, I can't recognize you. This time, it is Housekeeper Yun who is here. Housekeeper Yun's jade-like god I is able to discern that you, Brother Feishue, do not have any chaotic origin ancestral god bloodline. Only then did he ascertain that you are an ascendant. It is all thanks to Housekeeper Yun that I could board this ship. Dongbua Shuang chuckled. In his heart, he was memorizing the words chaotic origin ancestral god bloodline. Those who did not have chaotic origin ancestral god bloodline were ascendants. Then, the original citizens of this divine realm all had chaotic origin ancestral god bloodline. This chaotic origin ancestral god was a chaotic origin life form. Was he dead or alive? If he was a powerful, living, chaotic origin life form, then this world would be slightly frightening. You have to thank Third Lady. It is all thanks to Third Lady. Third Lady is a good person and saved you previously. That protector said, if not for Third Lady, why would Housekeeper Yun waste his energy to deliberately use his god, I, to observe you? Chapter 1284. The divine realm was vast. The ship flew amidst the clouds. According to Dongbua Shui Ying's inquiry, it would take another 2 months or so before they reached the high mountain city. During the days on the ship, Dongbua Shui Ying meditated and deduced the laws of the Tao of void in this world. He was also gradually altering his chaotic origin refinement body technique, reducing the disintegration of his body. On the other hand, he had to deal with this third young lady, Nobike's Kiyoshi. That person called Xiang Pangyun. What happened to him in the end? He did not kill your little brother, right? Within a private room on the ship, Nobike's Kiyoshi and Dongbua Shuang were seated opposite each other. She nervously asked, during the most critical moment, I broke through and killed Xiang Pangyun. Dongbua Shuang chuckled. He recalled that scene when he was young and sighed. It's just that his parents and little brother were no longer around, but they had lived for a very long time, even though he could rely on the illusory cosmos to recreate life. But what was the meaning of creating parents and little brother? Who? Nobike's Kiyoshi let out a sigh of relief. That's good. That's good. Even I feel flustered listening to it. Third young lady, since this Feishue could ascend to the divine realm, he must be an amazing character in the lower realm. Those who became enemies with him would likely not have a good ending. Housekeeper Yun chuckled from the side. That's true. Nobike's Kiyoshi nodded. Nobike's Kiyoshi suddenly asked, all right, God Monarch Feishu, what are your plans from now on? I've said before that I don't have a home in the divine realm. I will be roaming around. Dongbua Shuang chuckled. Why don't you stay in our high mountain city? Nobike's Kiyoshi added, the great wilderness is so dangerous. It is safer to stay in the city. I do intend to cultivate in the city for a period of time. However, the crisis that we've encountered this time around has made me feel that I'm still not strong enough. Dongbua Shuang nodded. You just stepped into the God Monarch stage, and you dare to roam around in the great wilderness. Steward Yin sneered. Nobike's Kiyoshi said, since Sir God Feishua wants to stay in the city to cultivate, it's a good thing. All right, Sir God Feishua, what level are your abilities at? Middle Divine Lord. Dongbua Shuang said. It's just that because of his heavy injuries, he hasn't been able to recover his strength. I believe that after a year or so, he would be able to recover to the God Monarch intermediate stage. Over the past few days, his body tempering technique had been gradually improving. His injuries had been alleviated, and his body had also become stronger. Oh, Butler Yin was slightly shocked when he saw this. Middle stage Divine Lord? Ascendants had truly cultivated step by step from being weak. They did not even have the help from the chaotic origin ancestral god bloodline. At the same level, ascendants would be much stronger than the natives of the divine realm. If this god monarch Feishuer recovered his strength, he would reach the god monarch intermediate stage. This strength should not be too far away from this, Butler Yin. After all, he was only a late-stage god monarch. Though he had the jade light god eye, his strength was slightly stronger than ordinary late-stage god monarchs. All right, Nobuke's Kiyoshi revealed a joyous look. You have the strength of a middle-stage god monarch and are an ascendant. I will definitely convince my father and big brother. By then, god monarch Feishua, you can take on the role of a cultivation tutor in my Imperial Wind clan. A cultivation tutor does not have any dangerous missions either. Only the core disciples of my Imperial Wind clan are qualified to ask for your guidance. With this identity, God Monarch Feishua would be different in the High Mountain City. He would even be given some benefits at regular intervals. He would even be qualified to enter the scripture library to choose a cultivation scripture. If God Monarch Feishua is willing, you can contribute to the sect in exchange for more benefits. Dongbua Shuang felt his heart moving when he heard that. Scripture library? What was the most direct way to research the laws of a world? Naturally, it was to observe the cultivation techniques of other experts. Other experts had already concluded their cultivation paths. As long as he could observe them, it would be many times easier for him to research the laws of a world. Are there any scriptures regarding ascendants? Dongbua Shuang asked. Nobuke's Kiyoshi revealed a delighted grin when she heard that. Her eyes turned into crescent moons. Cultivation scriptures regarding ascendants are extremely rare, but our High Mountain Makaz clan still has quite a few of them. Then Feishua will be thick-skinned. Dongbua Shuang immediately thanked. Many thanks, Third Lady. Don't be happy too early. Not everyone is qualified to be a cultivation tutor. Butler Yun nonchalantly said, this still requires the agreement of master and young master. Nobuke's Kiyoshi replied confidently, rest assured, father and big brother will definitely agree. Butler Yun felt helpless when he saw that. Dongbua Shuang chuckled. He had only interacted with his third lady for a month, but he could still feel that this third lady was genuinely kind. Because she treated him well, she would always think for him. No wonder Butler Yun previously threatened him to not scheme against Third Lady. No matter what, I have just arrived in this world, and I have received quite a bit of grace from this Third Lady. I can only find an opportunity to repay her in the future. Dongbua Shuang thought. Either way, he planned to stay in the High Mountain City for a period. After all, as long as it was a safe place, he could similarly research the laws of this world no matter where he was. There were hundreds of officers, soldiers, guards, servants, and so on the ship. Dongbua Shui Ying's attainments in the Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm had increased his charm, causing others to have a better impression of him. But because he could not do it too obviously, and the willpower of experts cannot be easily shaken, there were still several who did not have a good impression of him, especially a protector who could be described as disgusted. This protector was called Tai Cheng-Lu. Tai Cheng-Lu was tall and big, albeit his eyes were cold. His relationship with the other protectors was average. He looked at Dongbua Shui-Ying with a cold and disgusted gaze. Given how sharp Dongbua Shui-Ying was in the soul, he could even feel some malicious intent. I have just arrived in this world and have never met him before. Why would he hate me so much? Dongbua Shui-Ying felt puzzled, but he did not care. He was just a protector, and his strength was only at the peak of the God General realm. He was still a strand away from the God Monarch realm. But this strand was like a heavenly moat, and the gap in strength was too great. We have arrived. We have arrived at the High Mountain City. On this day, cheers resounded from the ship. The third young miss, Butler Yun, the generals, the soldiers, and even the many servants standing on the bow of the ship were all overjoyed. After all, none of them dared to be careless while traveling in the great wilderness. High Mountain City. Dongwu Shui Ying was also looking from afar. That was an enormous city, though it was not as frighteningly vast as the cities in the realm Heart Great Land. According to Dongwu Shui Ying's estimation, this high mountain city was just a few 100,000 kilometers in size. After all, the soil and sand in this world were ridiculously heavy. The difficulty of constructing such a city was not any less than constructing the capital of the Southern Cloud Nation. The controller of the high mountain city was none other than this Imperial Wind clan. On the day they arrived at the high mountain city, within a palace hall within the residence of the Imperial Wind clan, Dongwu Shui Ying met with the crown prince of the Imperial Wind clan. He was also the publicly acknowledged successor of the Imperial Wind clan, Minamoto no Reiki. Third sister, is this the ascendant you are praising? A tall and big male sat there. His eyes were faintly revolving with lightning. His power was extraordinary. Greetings, Crown Prince. Dongwu Shui Ying slightly bowed. Minamoto no Reiki chuckled when he saw that. It is said that ascendants are arrogant. Indeed, they live up to their reputation. After all, he was once the #1 expert in his hometown in the lower realm. It is natural for him to be arrogant. Seated by the side, Nobuke's Kiyoshi added, it is said that it is hard for ascendants to cultivate in the divine realm. But God Monarch Feishue has reached the middle stage God Monarch realm. That is not easy at all. Minamoto no Reiki softly nodded. It is hard to come by. Since my little sister mentioned it, God Monarch Feishue, you can stay in my Makaz clan as a cultivation teacher in the future. I will arrange a good residence for you in the city. Many thanks, Crown Prince. Dongwu Shui Ying obediently replied. That's right. Seeing this Crown Prince Minamoto no Reiki, Dongwu Shui Ying merely said 2 sentences, greetings, Crown Prince, and many thanks, Crown Prince, before being arranged to leave. That Crown Prince Minamoto no Reiki was clearly more enthusiastic about discussing this journey with his little sister. A residence that occupied an area of half a kilometer, and 2 huge chests of treasures were bestowed. Teacher Feishue, the items have been delivered. The few of us will be leaving first. Many thanks, everyone. Dongwu Shui Ying watched as the soldiers of the Makaz clan left. Looking at this residence, he revealed a grin. This would be his home for a very long period in this world. On the second night after arriving at the high mountain city, Dongwu Shui Ying sat cross-legged in his cultivation room. At night, a red and a silver-white moon hung in the night sky. The moonlight illuminated the entire courtyard. It felt very quiet. Amen? Dongwu Shui Ying frowned slightly. How sharp was his soul perception? Killing intent came. Someone wants to kill me? Dongwu Shui Ying felt puzzled. It is only the second day since I arrived at the high mountain city, and there are already people who want to kill me. Chapter 1285. Previously, Shui Ying had spent 2 months on the ship. During those 2 months, he had conversed with the protectors, giving Shui Ying some understanding of the high mountain city. Even though the organizations within the high mountain city were complicated, God monarchs were absolutely considered experts. He had come from the distant realm Heart Great Land. As a newcomer, he did not even know many people, much less enemies. Assassinating a God monarch expert? I do want to see who it is. Dongwu Shui Ying remained seated calmly. His eyelids were drooping, and at this moment, on the street outside the courtyard, 3 figures stealthily arrived from the void. These 3 experts looked at the courtyard in front with killing intent in their eyes. Am I right? Rest assured, it is here. That ascendant is staying here. 5th brother, 9th brother, according to the plan, 5th brother will unleash your domain, and 9th brother will ambush him. It's best if you can kill him in one fell swoop. Even if you can't, I'll follow up and kill him. The tallest green-robed, muscular man transmitted over. 3rd brother, Rest assured, it is sufficient for me and fifth brother to work together. Third brother, watch us. The other two thin and short men were confident. The two of them had worked together too often. The two of them exchanged glances. So. At the same time, they flashed into the residence of Dongbua Shuiying. At the moment they entered, the two of them had already made their moves. Hoo. One of the thin and short men was a red-robed girl. She lightly spat out, causing green fog to surge out. At that moment, it engulfed the cultivation room where Dongbua Shuiying was cultivating at, as if it was intelligent. The entire structure where the cultivation room was located was engulfed by the green fog. Chi. It rapidly turned into powder. What a formidable poisonous fog. Dongbua Shuiying, who was seated cross-legged within the cultivation room, frowned. He was slightly startled. In this world, even the soil and rocks were exaggeratedly heavy. It felt as if every piece of soil and rock was condensed from chaotic origin energy. The gravitational force was ridiculously strong too, reducing the area affected by the battle significantly, because material was originally heavy and stable. In addition to the arrays and secret techniques used to construct this residence, one would need the strength of a cosmos god to destroy the walls. It was naturally extremely difficult to silently corrode them into powder. The poisonous mist invaded from every opening. The void in this world was terrifyingly stable. Even until now, Dongbua Shuiying had not figured out a way to teleport. Against such a poisonous fog, they could only face it head-on. It was unavoidable. Humph! Dongbua Shuiying remained seated and snorted coldly. Immediately, a spatial vortex appeared around Dongbua Shuiying, blocking the green poisonous mist outside. The poisonous mist tried to corrode Dongbua Shuiying, but it was unable to penetrate through the layers of spatial vortexes. For someone like Dongbua Shuiying, who was a cultivator of the laws of Tao, his usage of energy was simply unimaginable. Perhaps other divine monarchs might think that the poison mist of the red-robed lady, who was only an early-stage god monarch, was hard to deal with, but Dongbua Shuiying was able to neutralize it easily. He's actually arrogant enough to still sit there? The black-robed man who was ranked 9th felt inwardly furious. His entire body suddenly distorted, turning into a crimson snake. This crimson snake was not even a meter long. Xiao! The snake flashed. It left behind a crimson trail as it attempted to pierce through the body of Dongbua Shuiying. Dongbua Shuiying remained seated cross-legged, though a spear was placed on his knee. This was a spear he obtained after becoming the cultivation teacher of the High Mountain Macaws clan. This spear could only be considered a slightly more ordinary weapon in this world. Compared to the weapons in the realm Heart Great Land, it was even cruder. But it had a unique point. It was extremely heavy. Transforming into a snake, Dongbua Shuiying grabbed the spear placed on his knee with a single hand. He then sent the spear tip piercing towards that crimson snake. What a joke. That crimson snake became even more disdainful when it attacked. Not only was its entire body as sharp as a divine weapon, it was also incredibly agile and more frightening than true weapons. Chi at the moment when the crimson snake attacked. Many insects suddenly appeared amidst the green fog surrounding Dongbua Shuiying. These insects gathered together and began devouring the void maelstrom. The unseen void maelstrom was being destroyed by these insects. Perhaps there is no need for me to act. That green-robed, muscular man with the biggest physique wielded a blood-colored scimitar and followed closely behind. 3 great experts were attacking. Dongbua Shuiying sat there cross-legged. He calmly stabbed out with his spear, causing the void in front of the spearhead to suddenly shrink and collapse like a bubble. That void bubble just happened to envelop the incoming crimson snake. What is going on? What is this? Break for me. Even though the crimson snake was slightly startled, it was still confident of breaking through. But when its sharp snake head, that was like a divine weapon, slammed against the boundary of the void bubble, it felt many layers of obstruction. This strike of the void did not receive any force at all, and could not break through at all. Furthermore, The void bubble was rapidly shrinking and collapsing. At the spearhead, the void bubble that was enveloping the crimson snake was rapidly collapsing, transforming into a black hole. The crimson snake struggled furiously, but to no avail. Although third bro and fifth bro were shocked as well, they were unable to help in time. Furthermore, they were confident in ninth bro. Ninth bro's body was like a divine weapon, and it was not that easy to destroy. Hung. The spear in Dongbua Shui Ying's hand stabbed against the black dot. This black dot was the void bubble that had collapsed to the extreme. The black dot exploded. A crimson snake whose body had been split into 3 parts was revealed. The crimson snake's eyes were filled with fear. Currently, its injuries were extremely severe. It transmitted anxiously. Third bro, fifth sis, save me. Pung. Pung. Dongbua Shuang was still sitting there cross-legged. He casually stabbed out twice with his spear. How fast was his spear? With every stab, a void bubble would appear, enveloping the crimson snake and causing it to collapse into a black dot. The spear stabbed against the black dot, causing it to explode. A total of 3 times. The first time, the crimson snake was split into 3 parts, but it was still struggling and crying for help. The second time, the crimson snake was completely destroyed, leaving behind only a few parts of its body. The third time, it was completely destroyed, leaving nothing behind. Everything happened too quickly. At Dongbua Shui Ying's level, the speed of his spear was simply too fast. As for the other 2 experts, one was still controlling the poisonous fog and venomous insects, unable to completely destroy the void whirlpool. As for the other third bro, who wielded the blood-colored curved blade, although he was anxious to act, he was still a step too slow. This is an early-stage God Monarch Ascender, and he's even heavily injured? Damn it. That third bro and the red-robed girl were extremely anxious. The information they received was ridiculously wrong. Even with the red-robed girl's help, he was still able to instantly kill ninth bro, who had an extremely strong body. Even a middle-stage God Monarch would not be able to do such a thing. It had to be a peak-stage God Monarch expert. A peak-stage God Monarch, compared to a heavily injured early-stage God Monarch, the difference in strength was more than 10 times. The information is wrong. The strength of the enemy far exceeds our estimations. Retreat, retreat. That green-robed, muscular male might be furious, but he still transmitted over. At the same time, he did not hesitate to escape. If you want to kill me, you can kill me. If you want to leave, you can leave. How can there be such a good thing in the world? Shuang, who was originally sitting cross-legged, suddenly moved. Hua! This movement was like a fine line arcing through the sky. Being a final realm Dao of void expert, even though Dongbua Shui Ying's body refinement strength had recovered to the middle stage God Monarch standard, equivalent to middle stage kings in Broken Teeth Mountain Range, he had deduced and grasped part of the void profound mysteries of this world, allowing his techniques to be much stronger than those experts who relied on their chaotic origin ancestral god bloodline. He is too fast. The green-robed, muscular male wanted to escape. As he fled, Dongbua Shui Ying chased after him. But Dongbua Shui Ying's speed was more than 2 times faster than him. This caused the expression of the green-robed, muscular male to change. Pooh! Similarly, he stabbed out with his spear. That green-robed, muscular male immediately felt the void around him collapsing. It was like a huge bubble collapsing. The speed of collapse was too fast that he did not even have the time to beg for mercy. The entire void bubble collapsed into a black spot. The green-robed, muscular male only felt himself rapidly shrinking. He became as small as an ant. At the same time the bubble collapsed, the green-robed, muscular male felt the surrounding void becoming much more viscous. He felt he was about to be squashed. And in the outside world, an incomparably huge spear was currently piercing into this black spot world that he was trapped in. This black spot world that was collapsing to its limit was already on the verge of exploding. Internal and external energy. Saying it was slow, but in reality, Dongbua Shui Ying had merely pierced out with his spear. How fast was this move? The green-robed, muscular male could only do his best to swing out the blood scimitar in his hand. Chapter 1286. Break for me. The green-robed man struggled in despair. He even faintly had a feeling that he would perish tonight after roaming unhindered for so many years. This full-powered strike of the green-robed muscular male was not weak either. It even had a protective effect. At the same time he hacked down with his scimitar, an unseen blade light protected his entire body. He wanted to charge out of this exploding world filled with black dots. But this move of Dongbua Shui Ying's, it was an explosion caused by the void being compressed to an extreme. It was an explosion that covered all directions. The unseen blade light of the green-robed, muscular male could not resist against it. The scimitar in his hand could only block part of the direction of the explosion before his fleshy body started breaking apart. "Oh, I'm out." Following that blood-colored scimitar, a portion of flesh rushed out. These pieces of flesh began twisting as they attempted to condense into a human shape. But Dongbua Shui Ying coldly stabbed out with his spear. It was the same move, merciless. Actually, the reason why Shui Ying decided to use this move was because it was the move with the greatest power Shui Ying could muster at the moment. No choice. Many profound mysteries could not be used. They were repelled by this world. He could only temporarily deduce a portion of his combat techniques. Those that were powerful, those that could escape, those that could deal with group attacks. After deducing a few simple techniques, he decided to focus on researching the chaotic origin refinement body. Because as long as his body was stronger, he would be able to unleash more power in his techniques. Pung. This green-robed muscular male was exterminated under the second spear strike. Even though he was a middle-stage god monarch and was stronger than Ninth Brother in direct combat, but his survival capabilities were weaker by an entire level. Facing against Dongbua Shui Ying's terrifying spear technique, he had to resist against it with his body. Naturally, he was weaker than that Ninth Brother. There's still one more. Dongbua Shui Ying looked out of his courtyard. That red-robed girl had already escaped. Do you think you can escape? Dongbua Shui Ying immediately turned into a thin line. He rushed out of his courtyard and chased after the other party. In this world, Dongbua Shui Ying had yet to discover anyone who could teleport. He could not do so either. But there was also an advantage to this. If the enemy wanted to escape, this is a very difficult thing. Although the red-clothed woman, who was ranked 5th, was the furthest away because she had used the poisonous fog and poisonous insects, she was the first to escape the courtyard when she saw that the situation was bad. However, the speed at which Dongbua Shui Ying killed the middle-stage god monarch green-robed man was too fast. In just 2 spear thrusts, the red-robed woman did not have enough time to escape. Too strong. It's too scary. How could his spear technique be so terrifying? Old Jio's body is like a divine weapon, but he was destroyed in just 3 spear strikes? The red-dressed woman was horrified in her heart. Old Nine's body was even stronger than many middle-stage divine lords. If she were to go, she probably wouldn't even be able to withstand a single spear. Not good. The red-robed lady noticed it. Behind them, a thin line broke through the air at a frightening speed. "They're here." The red-clothed woman was shocked. "Big brother, why aren't you here yet? Why aren't you here yet?" When they decided to run for their lives, she and third brother had already asked for help. But if Big Brother and the others were to rush over from their base, it would probably take them the time needed to brew a cup of tea. With such a long time, how would they be able to save them in time? Spare me, spare me. God Monarch Faishua, spare me. The red-clothed woman hurriedly sent a voice transmission to beg for mercy. She stopped and turned her head, revealing a pitiful look. A beautiful woman begging pitifully for mercy. Why would Dongbua Shui Ying do such a thing? Beg for mercy? Dongbua Shui Ying flipped his hand and kept his spear. This scene caused the red-clothed woman to heave a sigh of relief. He kept his spear? It looks like he won't kill me. Immediately following that, he extended his right hand. His right hand came enveloping over. The unseen void also wrapped around the red-robed girl and rapidly suppressed her. The red-robed girl watched as the surrounding void collapsed. She herself was becoming smaller and smaller. That palm of Ying was rapidly becoming bigger in her vision, and the surrounding structures were becoming incomparably towering. Phew! He grabbed a void sphere with one hand. This small sphere was about the size of a finger. He held it in his palm. South Dongbua Shuang turned into a fine line before returning. It is truly too slow. The gravity of this world is too strong. Even I am flying at a very slow speed. This high mountain city isn't that big, but it will take me quite some time to travel through it. Within his own residence, Dongbua Shuang sat cross-legged within the house. He held a void sphere in his hand. Within the void sphere was that red-clothed woman. Currently, the red-clothed woman was in deep sleep and could not resist at all, because Dongbua Shuang had already executed his Mirage and Illusory Realm secret technique. This red-clothed woman could not resist at all. She had directly fallen into oblivion, allowing Dongbua Shuang to easily flip through her memories. So that's the case. In this divine realm, the three great royal clans are the ones with the highest status? Dongbua Shuang only truly understood today. Previously, when he chatted with those protectors on the ship, he had only obtained some fragmented information. Now that he flipped through her memories, everything became clear. Divine Realm. According to legends, it was created by the three chaotic origin ancestral gods. The three chaotic origin ancestral gods had left behind a direct bloodline, which was also the three great royal clans. The three great royal clans were incredibly powerful. Behind them, there were even unfathomable chaotic origin ancestral gods. Naturally, the various organizations in the divine realm were in awe of the three great royal clans. Other than that, the divine realm was vast. There were many organizations that fought against each other. The three great royal clans were transcendent. They looked down on the struggles between the other organizations. The High Mountain City Makaz clan was one of the many organizations in the divine realm. In the divine realm, the original natives of the divine realm occupied an absolute ruling position. There were relatively fewer ascendants, and their organizations were much weaker. Many had joined the native organizations. This world was created by the three chaotic origin ancestral gods. Dongbua Shuang felt his heart trembling. For them to create such a world, it is unquestionably a chaotic origin life form. Furthermore, it should be a very powerful chaotic origin life form. Furthermore, the three of them were alive. Each of the three great royal clans had a chaotic origin ancestral god behind their backs. Yuan, bringing me to such a world to temper myself? Dongbua Shuang was inwardly dumbstruck. Whatever. The statuses of the three great royal clans are transcendent. I would most likely not be able to meet them, much less chaotic origin ancestral gods who are practically legends. Dongbua Shuang thought. The statuses of the chaotic origin ancestral gods were too unique. The natives of this divine realm all had the bloodline of a chaotic origin ancestral god. Clearly, after a long period of time, any natives of the divine realm could trace their bloodline back to a chaotic origin ancestral god. Only ascendants did not have the bloodline of a chaotic origin ancestral god. The ones who ambushed me this time should be an organization called Bat Mountain within this high mountain city. Dongbua Shuang thought. Bat Mountain had a deep foundation in High Mountain City. The Mountain Master of Bat Mountain was a peak stage god monarch expert. He was also one of the teachers of the High Mountain Makaz clan. After all, there was only one master of High Mountain City, and that was the Makaz clan of High Mountain City. All other organizations had submitted to the High Mountain Makaz clan. Night. Within a residence, there were a total of 5 figures standing on the pavilion. All of them were looking towards a residence in a particular direction. The residence of Dongbua Shuang. Big brother, are we just going to watch and not enter? The other 4 were incredibly anxious. Damn. The leading one was an ugly old man with a triangular head. He was none other than the famous Bat Mountain Master in the entire High Mountain City. He was ranked in the top 10 in terms of strength within the High Mountain City. Bat Mountain Master stared at the distant residents. He said with a hoarse voice, "Third brother, fifth brother, and ninth brother, not only did the three of them fail, none of them could escape. Within 2 breaths of time, they were all exterminated. Even though I can easily defeat third brother and the other 2, I am not confident of exterminating them within 2 breaths of time." The other 4 became silent. Right? When escaping, they would scatter and escape. By chasing after one party, the other 2 could escape far away. It was definitely not an easy task to kill the 3 of them. Furthermore, doing it within 2 breaths of time was frightening. Housekeeper Yun's jade-like god I has never seen wrongly, Bat Mountain Master said with a low voice. I also know that Housekeeper Yun has once observed this ascendant and ascertained that he is merely an early-stage god monarch. Furthermore, he is suppressing his injuries. That was why he ordered third brother and the others to act. Who would have thought that Housekeeper Yun has made an error in judgment this time? Big brother, what should we do? What should we do next? They turned to Bat Mountain Master. Bat Mountain Master coldly said, "Everyone returned first." Yes, the other 4 acknowledged. Even though they were slightly unwilling on the surface, they heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. It was only because of the might of Bat Mountain Master that they gathered under him. As for how deep their relationship was, that was a joke. 3 god monarchs have died. City Masters should likely know about this soon. This time, we have truly lost our face. But this god monarch Feishue isn't someone to be trifled with. We have to consider how we should deal with him. The eyes of Bat Mountain Master turned cold. In the past, the High Mountain City Master, Imperial Wind High Mountain, occupied the entire High Mountain City. He was the true supreme ruler of the entire High Mountain City. How could the death of 3 god monarchs be hidden from that city master? Chapter 12, 87. This god monarch Feishue isn't someone to be trifled with. But Tai Chung Lu, who spread the false information, cannot be forgiven. The eyes of Bat Mountain Master turned cold. He hoarsely said, "Eighth brother, go and capture Tai Chung Lu." Yes, big brother. We must not let this Tai Chung Lu off. What early-stage god monarch? And he is heavily injured. A violet-robed, handsome male gritted his teeth. Speaking of which, he was responsible for this matter. Bat Mountain had been operating in High Mountain City for a long period. They had done many robberies. This time, it was Tai Chung Lu who took the initiative to invite him for a drink and mentioned this ascendant god monarch Feishue. He even said with certainty that god monarch Feishue has been roaming the great wilderness for a very long time. I've heard that he originally had the strength of a middle-stage god monarch. He should have obtained many treasures in the great wilderness. Now that he is heavily injured, not only has his strength dropped to the early-stage god monarch realm, his body is also heavily injured. If I'm strong enough, I'll definitely eliminate him and snatch his treasures. Hence, the eyes of this 8th brother brightened. He immediately reported this news upwards. Actually, the higher-ups of Bat Mountain knew that Tai Chung Lu wanted to use Bat Mountain to eliminate that god monarch Feishue. They understood the reason too. But regarding the information regarding god monarch Feishue, they had confirmed that it was real. After investigating, they knew that Housekeeper Yin had once used the Jade-like God Eye to investigate. They had absolute trust in the Jade-like God Eye. Furthermore, for the sake of success, not only did 5th brother and 9th brother act, even the middle-stage god monarch 3rd brother was sent. Who would have thought that not only was this god monarch Feishue uninjured, his strength had also surpassed their imaginations. Even Bat Mountain Master, who was ranked in the top 10 of High Mountain City, was stunned. Within an ordinary residence, the tall and big Tai Chung Lu sat there by himself drinking wine. His eyes were cold. Ever since that unforeseen event, he had become cold and crazy. His relationships with others naturally deteriorated. Ascendant. All ascendants should die. All of them should die. Tai Cheng-Lu muttered, why? Why should ascendants be treated differently? With Bat Mountain's way of doing things, I'm afraid there will be a result in a few days. Tai Cheng-Lu drank his wine and seemed to have recalled something. The look in his eyes became even crazier. Suddenly, boom, a ray of purple light suddenly landed in the courtyard and turned into a handsome man in purple. Tai Cheng-Lu, who was sitting and drinking, raised his head and saw that the handsome man had an unfriendly expression on his face. He couldn't help but feel a knot in his heart. Upon seeing this, he immediately greeted Brother Shui. Because of you, you idiot, third brother, and the others have all fallen. The purple-clothed handsome man clenched his teeth and said. However, he had forgotten that the reason why they had taken action was because of the rewards that Sir Godfrey had obtained from wandering the great wilderness alone, as well as Sir Godfrey's relatively weak abilities. After all, those who could roam the great wilderness for a long period of time would have extremely high harvests. Although the great wilderness was dangerous, the corpses of the wild beasts were precious enough. What? Tai Cheng-Lu's expression changed. Come with me. Let's go see my big brother. The handsome man in purple walked over with big strides. Whoosh! Tai Cheng-Lu fled without hesitation. Meet Bat Mountain Master? He could guess the outcome. The handsome man in purple gave a savage sneer. He extended his right hand, causing a large amount of violet light to erupt from his palm. The violet light warped according to his will and shot towards the escaping Tai Cheng-Lu. It rapidly wrapped around Tai Cheng-Lu and imprisoned him. Even though one was a peak stage god general and the other an early stage god monarch, it might seem like they were just a step away. But god general, god monarch, god emperor, every time they crossed a major realm, the gap in their strength would become obvious, especially for the natives of the divine realm. They cultivated the bloodline of a chaotic origin ancestral god. Crossing a major realm would give them a qualitative change. The Imperial Wind Clan in High Mountain City occupied an area spanning several tens of thousands of kilometers. Given the unique environment of the divine realm, one could see how powerful a clan was for it to occupy such a huge area. Even though there were internal conflicts between various organizations in the entire High Mountain City, all of them obediently submitted to the Imperial Wind Clan. For instance, cultivation teachers like Dongbua, Shui, Ying, and Bat Mountain Master, or some ordinary soldiers like Tai Cheng-Lu could not be considered the core of the Imperial Wind Clan. The disciples of the Makaz clan and a few loyal old servants like Housekeeper Yun were the ones that the Imperial Wind Clan trusted. Hong Long Long. Within the Imperial Wind Clan, at the peak of a mountain several kilometers tall, a stone door rumbled open. Two figures stood outside the stone door. One was the young master of the Imperial Wind Clan, Minamoto no Raiki. His status in the clan was second only to his father. And the other was Housekeeper Yun. Even though Housekeeper Yun had a relatively high status in the Imperial Wind Clan, he was only ranked third amongst the many housekeepers. There were other reasons why he was qualified to welcome the clan head together with the young master. The stone door opened. From within came a gray-haired, middle-aged man who seemed to have experienced the vicissitudes of life. As he walked over, Minamoto no Raiki and Housekeeper Yun could not help but bow. Father. Minamoto no Raiki bowed. Master. Housekeeper Yun bowed too. This person in front was the ruler of the entire High Mountain City, the undisputed highest ruler, Yufeng Junshan. Yufeng Junshan softly nodded. He turned to Housekeeper Yun. What is the outcome of your trip to the Dawn City this time? Housekeeper Yun respectfully answered. Master, the gifts have been returned. Dawn Sect Master isn't willing to accept Third Lady as a disciple. The pupils of Yufeng Junshan dilated slightly when he heard that. The muscles at the corner of his eyes were twitching. He muttered softly. Dawn Sect Master should not have any problems dealing with him given his strength. Yet he actually rejected him. He understood. The Morning Sun Sect Master didn't want to get involved in this mess. Father, even if we rely on our High Mountain City, I do not believe that we can't defeat that Demon Heart Society. The eyes of Minamoto no Raiki emitted lightning. The surrounding void around his eyes was letting out chi sounds. Lightning snakes were moving. An old thief, Devil Heart, has improved greatly. He is ranked 987th on the God Emperor list by the Heaven's Heart clan. Even though he is at the bottom, he can at least enter the list. Yufeng Junshan shook his head. Even though this father isn't willing to believe it, the truth is that an old thief, Devil Heart, is far stronger than me. Even if we occupy the geographical advantage of High Mountain City, we can't defeat Devil Heart, an old thief. The God Emperor list recorded the 1,000 most terrifying God Emperors in the entire Divine Realm. Given how vast the Divine Realm was, there were countless organizations. Those ranked in the top 1,000 were all overlords of an area. The Heaven's Heart clan is one of the 3 great royal clans. Their evaluation is definitely not wrong. Yufeng Junshan's eyes were cold. In the past, I and an old thief, Devil Heart, have formed an enmity. Given the personality of an old thief, it is impossible for him to give up. Currently, his strength has improved greatly. It's just that he isn't fully prepared. After all, he doesn't wish to sacrifice too much in my High Mountain City. And when they act, it will be the time when they are fully prepared. Father, by relying on the geographical advantage of High Mountain City, they can forget about dealing against our Imperial Wind clan. Minamoto no Reiki was clearly anxious. Don't be anxious, Yufeng Junshan said. Housekeeper Yun, follow Jean to Easternwood City. The 9th Prince of Easternwood City had some feelings for Kiyoshi in the past when he came to our High Mountain City. This time, let's see if we can facilitate the marriage between Kiyoshi and the 9th Prince of Easternwood City. As long as Easternwood City interferes, given how noble the status of Easternwood City Master is, he should be able to mediate this matter easily. 9th Prince of Easternwood City. Minamoto no Reiki revealed a strand of anxiety. Father, are we really going to let little sister marry that? Marrying over would be akin to sending a sheep into the mouth of a tiger. Even if little sister was living a miserable life, their High Mountain City would not dare to challenge against Easternwood City. The reputation of a 9th Prince might not be good, but he is the only one who can save our High Mountain City. Yufeng Junshan coldly said, for the sake of the entire Imperial Wind clan, Kiyoshi will understand. Minamoto no Reiki became taciturn. That's right. Devil Heart, an old thief, was listed in the God Emperor list. Who could help them at this moment? Those who were slightly more familiar to Yufeng Junshan were mostly those at the same level as Yufeng Junshan. Even those who were stronger by a level were not willing to become enemies with an old thief Devil Heart. Only Dawn Religion Master could deal with this relatively easily. It's a pity that Dawn Religion Master was not willing to help. As for Easternwood City Master, his status was higher, but it's a pity that Yufeng Junshan was not qualified to interact with such existences. Only that 9th Prince of Easternwood City had passed by High Mountain City. Then this matter will be decided like this. Yufeng Junshan understood. Currently, it was their side that was experiencing the heat. They did not know the intentions of Easternwood City. Currently, he could only send his second son, Imperial Wind Jean, who had a relatively good relationship with the 9th Prince, to persuade the other party. If it was possible, Yufeng Junshan would have to personally pay a visit to that Easternwood City Master. All right, how is the situation in the city during this period of closed-door cultivation? Yufeng Junshan asked. Minamoto no Reiki answered. It is still relatively stable within the city. But there is an ascendant called God Monarch Feishua who came to our High Mountain City. It was Third Sister who saved him. I temporarily let him be the cultivation teacher of our Makaz clan. Just a few days ago, there should be 3 God Monarchs from Bat Mountain trying to assassinate this God Monarch Feishua, yet they fell in his hands. Chapter 1288. Oh, how strong is this God Monarch Feishua? Are there any peak stage God Monarchs? Yufeng Junshan asked. He did not care about the fights between the various organizations in High Mountain City. As long as the city remained calm on the surface, fighting in the dark was a minor matter. Furthermore, Yufeng Junshan believed that fighting and killing could temper experts more easily. If the entire high mountain city remained peaceful, the number of experts that emerged would likely be significantly reduced. This was something he did not wish to see. The more experts there were, the better it would be. They were all his subordinates. What he cared about the most was the peak stage God Monarch level. Because at this level, if there were enough of them, for instance 10 working together, they could fight against an early stage God Emperor. This was also the reason why peak stage God Monarch experts like Bat Mountain Master had such a huge influence in High Mountain City. Yufeng Junshan was very lenient towards them. Ascendants do not have any chaotic origin ancestral god bloodline. They have cultivated arduously and are much stronger than those at the same level. If there are peak stage God Monarchs, they should be able to fight against early stage God Emperor. If Devilheart and Old Thief came, he could be a helper too. Yufeng Junshan thought. He isn't a peak stage God Monarch. Minamoto no Reiki shook his head. Housekeeper Yun has once used the Jade Light God to examine him. Yufeng Junshan also turned to Housekeeper Yun. Housekeeper Yun respectfully answered, Master, in the past when Third Lady and I were returning, we met God Monarch Fei Shue, who was heavily injured in the Great Wilderness. At that time, I had used the Jade Light God to investigate his foundation. Only then did I discover that he did not have any chaotic origin ancestral god bloodline. I am certain that he is an ascendant. Furthermore, he did not condense a god heart. Instead, he cultivated his fleshy body. His fleshy body is strong at the early stage God Monarch level. Furthermore, the injuries in his body are severe and hard to cure. But in the end, he said that he originally had the strength of a middle stage God Monarch. It is only due to his heavy injuries that his strength dropped. After all, it has been more than 2 months. Although it's a short period of time, he managed to finish off 3 Divine Lords from Bat Mountain. I'm guessing that he has recovered his strength in these 2 months. Of the 3 Divine Lords he killed, 2 were early stage Divine Lords, and 1 was a mid-stage Divine Lord. The mid-stage Divine Lord was very ordinary. He didn't have any divine powers, said Minamoto no Reiki. Oh, Yufeng Junshan was a little disappointed. He nodded. A middle-stage God Lord Ascender has strength that can jump realms to fight. It is normal for him to kill 3 weaker God Lords. Let's pay more attention. Although he was disappointed, but a mid-stage God Monarch Ascendant would be able to fight against a peak stage God Monarch of the deity world. His strength would most likely be on par with Bat Mountain Master, and he would have another general under him. It was a pity that what he looked forward to the most was a peak Divine Monarch Ascender. Yes, Father, I will always pay attention. Minamoto no Reiki acknowledged. But regardless of whether it was Yufeng Junshan or Minamoto no Reiki, they did not care too much in their hearts. Because the threat of the master of the Demon Heart Society was right in front of them. They did not have the time to wait for a middle-stage God Monarch Ascendant to grow slowly. Furthermore, even if they had another peak-stage God Monarch Ascendant, the help he could provide would be limited before the terrifying master of the Demon Heart Society. 9th Prince of Eastern Wood City. Yufeng Junshan was looking forward to it silently. Placing his hope of survival on other organizations and even sacrificing his daughter was indeed not a good feeling. But he had no other choice. The conflicts between organizations in the divine realm were cruel. Many organizations had fallen. Yufeng Junshan was not willing for the High Mountain Macaws clan to become the next to fall. For this, he did not care about the price. Teacher Fei Shue. Teacher Fei Shue, please. Within the High Mountain City Imperial Wind Clan, after Dongbua Shuang arrived, he met quite a few personal guards of the Macaws clan. These personal guards were incredibly enthusiastic. After all, they were relatively well-informed. Furthermore, God Monarchs were considered experts in the entire High Mountain City. It was impossible to conceal the death of 3 of them. At the very least, the personal guards of the Macaws clan knew that Bat Mountain had suffered greatly in the hands of this God Monarch Fei Shue. Naturally, they did not dare to slight this God Monarch Fei Shue. Furthermore, the identity of an ascendant was something that made many people feel apprehensive. Even though ascendants were rare, every single one of them who could ascend to the divine realm was extraordinary. Donghua Ying chuckled. Dealing with those 3 insects of Bat Mountain has made my reputation much bigger. His journey was smooth. Soon, he arrived at the scripture library of the Imperial Wind Clan. Teacher Feishue. There were naturally guards in the scripture library. These guards warmly welcomed Donghua Ying. I should be qualified to choose a cultivation scripture, right? Donghua chuckled. Teacher Feishue, being a cultivation teacher, you are naturally qualified. But you can only choose a cultivation scripture from the 1st level to the 3rd level of the scripture library. The guard warmly answered. Being a cultivation teacher was indeed a relatively high position. Only those who had some unique methods and strength were qualified to be invited to be a cultivation teacher. Donghua Ying then entered the scripture library. The scripture library had a total of 6 levels. The first 3 levels were free for Donghua Ying to choose from. Donghua Ying flipped through the books one by one. These scriptures only had a simple introduction on the first page. The other pages were completely blank. When Donghua Ying came to choose a cultivation scripture, the news of him coming to the Imperial Wind Clan was also spreading. If one said that the name God Monarch Feishue was ordinary in the past, ever since Bat Mountain fell in the hands of Donghua Ying, God Monarch Feishue became an influential character across the entire High Mountain City. Those who were well-informed understood that this God Monarch Feishue should be able to get into the top 10 of the entire High Mountain City. Even if he did not, he should not be too far from it. Otherwise, why would the 3 God Monarchs be killed so easily? Why did Bat Mountain Master endure until now? Quick, let's go and have a look. Previously, I wanted to get to know God Monarch Feishue, but it's a pity that God Monarch Feishue has been in closed-door cultivation. The few of us dare not disturb him. This is a good chance to get to know him. Wah. Quickly look, Bat Mountain Master is actually here. It's Bat Mountain Master. Many people saw an ugly old man with a triangular head coming to the clan's ground of the Macaw's clan. He was also one of the cultivation teachers of the Macaw's clan. Hence, he was able to enter without any obstructions. Interesting. Not long after God Monarch Feishue appeared, Bat Mountain Master has arrived. In a while, there might even be a huge battle. Even though it was noisy in the outside world, Donghua Ying was patiently flipping through the books within the scripture library. To him, some battles were minor. Researching the laws of this world was more important to him. He already vaguely understood the meaning behind the words tempering oneself under different civilizations, grasping that bit of Tao eternity, jumping out of the restraints of many civilizations to become a magnificent chaotic origin life form. Tao eternity. Just like how the Tao of cosmos gods could travel across different origin worlds. And clearly, the world he entered this time wasn't an origin world. Since the Tao of cosmos gods could not travel across, then who could? Donghua Ying thought about how this world was created by the 3 chaotic origin ancestral gods. He could not help but guess. Only Tao at the chaotic origin level could travel across. Tempering oneself under different civilizations would cause many simple, profound mysteries to be abandoned. What remains are those that could travel across different civilizations. That is the true eternity. That is the foundation of a chaotic origin life form. Donghua Ying guessed. No matter what, he had to recover his strength first. He had to recover back to the level he was at in the Realm Heart Great Land. And it was too slow for him to comprehend it by himself. Absorbing the experiences of the experts in this world would naturally be much faster. Even though the natives of this divine realm cultivate a bloodline, it is clear that their cultivation techniques are much more profound. They could even cultivate some divine abilities. Donghua Ying thought, even though the Death Destruction clan and the natives in Broken Teeth Mountain Range have chaotic origin bloodlines, those were the 2 terrifying chaotic origin experts who fell. They had to figure out their cultivation techniques by themselves. But this divine realm is different. They're the bloodlines left behind by the 3 living chaotic origin ancestral gods. Those 3 chaotic origin ancestral gods should have some guidance for their descendants, right? But ultimately, they're still using their bloodlines as their foundation. Their comprehension of the Tao is minimal. What I need are the scriptures of ascendance. Donghua Shuang thought. He had already discovered 2 ascendant scriptures. It's a pity that they were not related to the Tao of Void. Ascendants did not have chaotic origin bloodlines. Their cultivation techniques were strange, yet they could similarly absorb energy from the world to strengthen themselves. Donghua Shuang even felt that they were not any weaker than the laws and profound mysteries lineage. After all, different paths led to the same goal. Just like hex cultivation and ancient cultivation, they would grasp the final realm of Tao. The majority of these ascendants were the same. Only a few ascendants actually harvested the bloodlines of the natives of the divine realm to strengthen themselves. This cultivation technique was practically a forbidden technique in the divine realm. Donghua Shuang only knew about it when he searched through his memories. The Makaz clan in High Mountain City has collected quite a lot of scriptures. There are also several dozens of ascendant scriptures. Yet there are only 2 Tao of Void. One is at the God General level, and the other at the God Monarch level. Donghua Shuang picked up a dark green book. This book had the name of this cultivation technique, Skyrending Void Sword Technique. No matter what, it is not bad for me to discover a useful cultivation technique. Donghua Shuang revealed a grin. If one were to calculate, it should be able to reach the God Monarch level. Using the judgment of the cultivators in his hometown, this was a scripture at the final realm. It was only in the divine realm where cultivators cultivated the bloodline of chaotic origin ancestral gods that they would look down on ascendant scriptures that were difficult to cultivate and could only reach the God Monarch level would be placed on the 3rd level. Teacher Feishue, have you chosen it? A protector saw Donghua Shuang walking over with a dark green book. He enthusiastically asked, "Right, this is it." Donghua Shuang passed it over. The protector took a look and said, "Teacher Feishue, please wait for a moment. I'll go look for the original copy." Teacher Feishue can only read it in the scripture library before returning it. Understood. Donghua Shuang nodded. He was looking forward to it in his heart. This scripture would allow him to understand more about this world and save him a lot of time. Chapter 1289. Just a moment later, that green-robed protector rushed over. He said, "Teacher Feishue, I have found the original copy of this scripture." Saying that, he passed it over to Donghua Shuang. Donghua Shuang took it over. He lowered his head and gave it a glance before chuckling. "I require a meditation room to read through it." There are many meditation rooms in the scripture library. The stone doors are all empty. Teacher Feishue can choose any of them. The protector led the way. Donghua Shuang casually chose one before entering. Rumble, rumble, the stone door closed. The meditation room in the scripture library was very ordinary. It was quiet and would not be disturbed by outsiders. The cost of constructing it was also very low. Most cultivators would only use it for a short period of time when they came to learn the cultivation scripture, because the cultivation scripture was extremely complex. Other than needing some time to memorize it, most cultivators would like to observe the original copy. The original copy could only be written after one had completely grasped the skyrending void sword technique. The handwriting on it contained all sorts of charm. Observing it would greatly aid one's cultivation, and only those who learned the original copy for the first time would have a chance to learn it. Skyrending void sword technique is a cultivation technique created by the ascendants of this world. Donghua Shuang immediately flipped it open. His consciousness permeated into the book and began memorizing it. Honestly speaking, Donghua Shuang was very curious about the so-called ascendants. The natives of the divine realm were all descendants of the chaotic origin ancestral god. Naturally, they felt a sense of superiority when facing the living beings from the countless dimensions in the lower realm. But facing the ascendants who came to the divine realm from the countless dimensions in the lower realm, the natives of the divine realm were relatively fearful. They had to admit that any ascendant was extraordinary. Even at the same level, ascendants were much stronger than the natives of the divine realm. It was common for ascendants to fight against those on a higher level. Amazing. Dongbua Shui Ying's soul was so powerful that he soon finished reading through this sword technique and memorized it. After reading it, his eyes were filled with astonishment. Admirable. This sword technique had also reached the pinnacle of the usage of the laws of profound mysteries. It was in no way inferior to the many techniques he had created. Furthermore, because he comprehended many laws and profound mysteries techniques in the realm Heart Great Land, he ended up being rejected by this world. As a result, the Tao of Void techniques he executed were far inferior to this sword technique. My attainments in the Tao of Void, even with the help of a supreme secret impartation, is merely perfected by me and Emperor Summer together with the unstable chaotic origin refinement body after comprehending the Void Snake Tooth. Shuang thought. The initial emperors in the realm Heart Great Land were equivalent to the initial God Emperor in the Divine Realm. Moreover, I'm currently being resisted by this world, and my strength has been greatly reduced. Dongbua Shui Ying revealed a smile. But now that I've absorbed the profoundness of this sword technique, I should be able to comprehend the laws of this world much faster. Closing his eyes, the cultivation process of this terrifying sword art appeared in his mind. This sword technique, what he cultivated was the Void Sword Origin Energy. Every strand of Void Sword Origin Energy was as sharp as a divine weapon. Once he succeeded in his cultivation, he opened his mouth and spat out a beam of sword light. Or he would casually point his finger and a sword light would shoot out. Furthermore, his body would turn into countless sword lights. Because his entire body was formed from the Void Sword Origin Energy, his body could be called the Void Sword Origin Body. His body was like a divine weapon. He could gather and disperse at will, and his offense was terrifyingly strong. In reality, this Void Sword Origin Energy was a unique way of using the Tao of Void after comprehending it. It was so strong that it wasn't any weaker than a supreme secret impartation. The Void Sword Origin Energy had a total of 6 levels. Reaching the initial stage was equivalent to the early stage God General Realm. The first 3 levels were the God General Realm. The last 3 levels were the God Monarch Realm. Formidable, truly formidable. There's only one great Tao. The entire Tao of Void has perfectly fused into the Void Sword Origin Energy. Even his soul has fused with every strand of energy. His entire body is known as the Void Sword Origin Energy. It is the energy for combat. It is also his body and soul. Dongbua Shui Ying sighed. This creator wants to rely on this Void Sword Origin Energy to break through the cage and become a chaotic origin body. Even though he admired it, Dongbua Shui Ying did not feel that this was his path. He had reached an incredibly high realm in the Tao of Soul. His soul and fleshy body complemented each other, allowing him to more accurately sense the flaws of his fleshy body. Cultivating the fleshy body had allowed him to improve rapidly. Naturally, he would continue researching the chaotic origin refinement body. This was the path that was most suitable for him, even if they cultivated the same fleshy body. He had parted ways with Emperor Summer because their chaotic origin refinement body had walked in different directions. Even though he admired the cultivation method of the Void Sword Origin Energy, he was more mindful of the profound mysteries of the Tao of Void used in it. This world is different from the 2 origin worlds that I have experienced. These ascendants believe in the great Tao is flawed. Dongbua Shui Ying shook his head, and the final realm Tao of an origin world is grand perfection. One was flawed, the other was grand perfection. Dongbua Shui Ying pondered for a moment. He could vaguely feel that the laws and profound mysteries of this origin world were more complete. And now that he had entered this world, it was violent and chaotic. Even though it was stronger, it was much cruder. Many laws and profound mysteries were flawed. But even if they were flawed, one could still reach the chaotic origin level. Whatever, I shall absorb what is useful to me. Dongbua Shui Ying no longer thought about it. He focused on comprehending this sword technique. This comprehension lasted for half a day. during this process. He had even read through the original copy twice before stopping, because this was originally useless to him. His attainments in the Tao of Void were not any weaker than the creator of this scripture. This is the Void Sword Origin Energy. Dongbua Shui Ying extended his right hand. A strand of crystalline, translucent sword light appeared on his fingertip. Just half a day later, he had deduced this Void Sword Origin Energy to the 5th level realm. I have memorized everything that is useful to me. This is originally useless to me. As long as I return and cultivate properly, I should be able to recover to the peak stage God Monarch realm in 3 to 5 years. Dongbua Shui Ying stood up. He directly opened the stone door of the cultivation room. The stone door rumbled open. Teacher Fei Xue, you are out so quickly? That green-robed protector hurried over. This is the original copy. Dongbua Shui Ying passed it over. The green-robed protector took it. After checking through, he chuckled. Teacher Fei Xue, currently, there are quite a few people waiting for Teacher Fei Xue outside the scripture library. Teacher Fei Xue coming out so quickly this time should have exceeded their expectations. Waiting for me? Dongbua Shui Ying was startled. One of them is Bat Mountain Master. The green-robed protector transmitted. Dongbua Shui Ying felt his heart moving. Bat Mountain Master? He was ranked in the top 10 in this high mountain city. He had just killed 3 of his subordinates not too long ago. Dongbua Shui Ying would not show any mercy to those 3 who wanted to kill him. He had even made preparations to deal with Bat Mountain Master. It's a pity that Bat Mountain Master did not act at all. Many thanks. I still don't know who you are. Dongbua Shui Ying chuckled at this green-robed protector. I am Imperial Wind Winnie. The green-robed protector transmitted. Oh, so you are a disciple of the Macaws clan. Dongbua Shui Ying said. Being able to become a protector of such an important place like the scripture library meant that he was not weak. A disciple of the Macaws clan? The Macaws clan has multiplied until now, and there are many people in the clan. The green-robed protector transmitted with a smile. I am merely a branch of the Macaws clan. Currently, I have barely stepped into the early stage God Monarch realm. It is hard for me to improve even after cultivating bitterly. I wonder if I could ask Teacher Fei Xue for some pointers in the future? Dongbua Shui Ying glanced at him. The green-robe protector felt slightly nervous. If you have time, you can come to my residence. Dongbua Shui Ying finished speaking. He then walked out of the hall. If it were before learning the scripture, he would not dare to easily give pointers to others. But after learning it, he could at least give some pointers regarding the Tao of Void of this world. The green-robed protector revealed a look of joy. The path of cultivation was like this. They had to think of ways to grab hold of any opportunity. They knew that ascendants had a profound understanding of cultivation. Their pointers would point directly to the essence of cultivation. Amen. After Dongbua Shui Ying walked out of the scripture library, he immediately saw a few people seated around him. Amongst them, there was an ugly triangular-headed elder and a white-robed middle-aged man sitting opposite each other. They were drinking wine and chatting merrily. Because he had searched through the memories of one of the god monarchs that ambushed him, Dongbua Shui Ying naturally recognized that the ugly triangular-headed elder was Bat Mountain Master. Chapter 1290. Dongbua Shui Ying not only recognized Bat Mountain Master, he also recognized the other expert sitting opposite Bat Mountain Master called God Monarch Jianin. God Monarch Jianin was also one of the cultivation teachers of the Macaws clan. Both he and Bat Mountain Master had unique statuses because they were publicly acknowledged to be in the top 10 in the entire high mountain city. One had to know that even though peak stage god monarchs were rare, there were more than 20 peak stage god monarchs in the entire high mountain city. But those publicly acknowledged to be in the top 10 were City Master, Young Master, Minamoto no Raiki, Housekeeper Tong, Xing Pavilion Master, God Monarch Jianin, and Bat Mountain Master. The gap between the other god monarchs was even smaller. It was hard to determine who was in the top 10 if they did not fight to the death. Publicly acknowledged, it represented that these 6 had a clear advantage in strength. Amen. God Monarch Feishue has come out. He came out so quickly. I thought he would stay in the scripture library for a year or two. Several people seated around turned to Dongbua Shuang. Even that Bat Mountain Master and God Monarch Jian Ying turned to Dongbua Shuang. Natives of the divine realm were born with an eternal lifespan. To them, 3 to 5 years was indeed a short period. It was normal for them to spend 1 to 2 years studying a scripture in the scripture library. Ha ha ha! Bat Mountain Master's laughter was ear-piercing. It reverberated in midair. Bat Mountain Master, what is so funny? Dongbua Shuang interrupted Bat Mountain Master's laughter. Only then did Bat Mountain Master stand up. He grinned at Dongbua Shuang. I've long heard that another ascendant has come to our high mountain city. Today, I finally get to see God Monarch Feishue. You are indeed extraordinary. He is indeed extraordinary. A white-robed, middle-aged male chuckled. How could he be an ordinary expert if he could easily eliminate 3 of your subordinates? The expression of Bat Mountain Master stiffened. Dongbua Shuang looked at the middle-aged man. Sir God Jianin? Sir God Feishue actually knows me? The white-robed, middle-aged man laughed in surprise. It seems like Sir God Feishue is quite well-informed. How can I not know Sir God Jianyin's name? Dongbua Shuang laughed. Sir God Feishue. The ugly, triangular-headed old man, Bat Mountain Master, said hoarsely, 3 of my subordinates went to seek guidance. I wonder if they are still alive? At this moment, the surroundings were quiet. No one else dared to interrupt. Even Sir God Jian was watching from his side. They tried to kill me, but failed. Do you think they are still alive? Dongbua Shuang looked at this Bat Mountain Lord. Bat Mountain Master frowned slightly and said with a hoarse voice, Oh, then I want to see how strong God Monarch Feishue is. How about we have a spar? All right. Dongbua Shuang nodded. The surrounding spectators revealed a look of joy. They were naturally looking forward to a spar between 2 great experts. Didn't they all rush here just to see these 2 great experts fight? One was publicly recognized as one of the top 10 experts in High Mountain City, and the other was an ascendant. His strength was a mystery, yet he easily killed 3 god monarchs. It seems this Bat Mountain Master is extraordinarily cautious. Dongbua Shuang thought. Previously, he did not dare to deal against me. Instead, he chose to spar within the Macaw's clan. Those 3 god monarchs who ambushed him were killed by him. If Bat Mountain Master had acted against him, Dongbua Shuang would have retaliated, and it would have been normal for one party to fall. But it was forbidden to kill within the Macaw's clan. Even sparring had to be done on a designated battle platform. Sparring was only to determine who was stronger and who was weaker. It was forbidden to take one's life. This Bat Mountain Master doesn't have the confidence in his heart. That's why he wanted to spar with me in the Imperial Wind Clan. If he felt that he could kill me after the spar, he would most likely kill me secretly after leaving the Imperial Wind Clan, right? Dongbua Shuang sneered inwardly. He did not place this Bat Mountain Master in his eyes. His main reason for coming to this world was still to cultivate. Cultivating in different civilizations, tempering himself, grasping the eternity of the Tao, jumping out of the cage, and becoming a chaotic origin life form. The entire Macaw's clan was in an uproar. Hurry up! Bat Mountain Master is fighting with God Monarch Feishue at the Thunder Mountain Summit battle platform. Hurry up and watch. Bat Mountain Master has suffered a huge loss previously. He is finally going to act. Many disciples of the Macaw's clan immediately rushed over to the Thunder Mountain Summit battle platform that was specially used by the Macaw's clan for sparring. And at this moment, within a garden within the Macaw's clan, a fair-skinned young man was currently walking side by side with a green-robed girl. That green-robed girl was none other than Nobike's Kiyoshi. Little sister, the young man muttered, are you still angry? Didn't I say before? I will listen to father, big brother, and the second brother. Nobike's Kiyoshi said. The young man softly shook his head. This time, it is our Macaw's clan that made you marry that 9th prince from Easterwood City. Don't say any more. I don't blame father, and neither do I blame big brother, second brother. Nobike's Kiyoshi turned to her second brother. Actually, I've seen all sorts of battles happening in High Mountain City. I've seen how many people roam the great wilderness. I know that the strong preys on the weak. Currently, we have become weak when facing that master of the demon heart society. Let's not talk about these anymore. Second brother, when are you going to Easterwood City? I'm still preparing. Imperial Wind Jean said, I need to prepare many gifts and think of ways to settle this matter. AI, even though little sister has agreed to marry that ninth prince, it is still uncertain whether Easternwood City will agree to it. Nobike's Kiyoshi nodded slightly. She merely gave a self-mocking chuckle. That's right. It is still uncertain. Taking the initiative to marry him, others might not necessarily want it. Amen? Imperial Wind Jean suddenly revealed a look of astonishment. He said, Little sister, I have just received news that God Monarch Feishue, whom you saved, is currently heading to the Thunder Mountain Summit battle platform with Bat Mountain Master. They are planning to spar. Oh, God Monarch Feishue, Bat Mountain Master? Nobuke's Kiyoshi revealed a look of curiosity. Go, go, go. Let's go take a look. Imperial Wind Jean said. He had to inform Nobuke's Kiyoshi about the matter of her marrying to Easternwood City. Furthermore, she had to be willing to cooperate. Nobuke's Kiyoshi was cooperating. It was just that she was clearly feeling down these few days. Imperial Wind Jean also wanted to bring his sister to watch the spar between God Monarch Feishue and Bat Mountain Master. It could also be considered as relaxing. Thunder Mountain, in the northwest corner of the Makaz clan's residence. At the peak of Thunder Mountain, there was a battle platform. It was a place specially used for sparring. When Imperial Wind Jean brought his sister, Nobuke's Kiyoshi, to the peak of Thunder Mountain, there was already a large number of spectators gathered there. There were more than 10,000 of them. Fortunately, it was within the Makaz clan's residence. Not everyone had the qualifications to enter the Makaz clan's residence. If it were an open battle within the city, the number of spectators would likely be more than 10,000 times. Third sister. After Imperial Wind Jean and Nobuke's Kiyoshi arrived, they heard a familiar voice. Looking over, they saw the tall and big Minamoto no Reiki seated there. Big brother, big brother. The two of them went over. Have a seat. Minamoto no Reiki looked at his little sister. He loved her dearly and felt guilty in his heart. He was such a prideful person, yet he had to rely on his little sister to tide the clan through this crisis. Naturally, he felt humiliated. Who would have thought that so many people would come to watch? This spar has been decided at the last minute. There should be quite a few experts in High Mountain City who are still in closed-door cultivation and do not know of this news. Imperial Wind Jean swept his gaze across. He sighed. Even so many people have come. Nobuke's Kiyoshi was looking at that battle platform from afar. There were currently two figures standing on both sides of the platform. They were facing each other. I wonder how strong this God Monarch Feishue is. Bat Mountain Master squinted at Dongbua Shuang. He was contemplating in his heart. If he is terrifyingly strong, I would only lose face if I lose here. I won't lose my life. But if he is much weaker than me, humph, 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 in a few days, it will be time for him to pay with his life. Bat Mountain Master. This person was sinister and cunning. He was also incomparably cautious. God Monarch Feishue, defeat Bat Mountain Master. Suddenly, a clear voice sounded. Dongbua Shuang turned over with astonishment. He saw Nobuke's Kiyoshi currently shouting out. At the same time, she revealed a grin as if she was looking forward to the battle. This third lady, are you looking forward to the battle? Dongbua Shuang chuckled. How would he know that Nobuke's Kiyoshi was deliberately shouting out to vent the frustration in her heart? Oomph. When Bat Mountain Master heard this shout, he could not help but frown. It was only after noticing that it was the third lady who shouted out that he could only endure. God Monarch Feishue, it seems that third lady thinks highly of you? Then let me see what techniques you have. Bat Mountain Master said with a hoarse voice. His voice was still reverberating, yet he had already acted. Chapter 1291. When the battle started, it happened. This caused the spectators who were seated around the battle platform to focus their attention. Even the prideful Minamoto no Raiki, god monarch Jianin, and others were paying close attention because Bat Mountain Master was comparable to them in terms of strength. A terrifying frost descended without any warning. It directly enveloped Dongbua Shui Ying, condensing into an ice mountain that was 30 meters tall. He fell for it just like that. He didn't even break through. Minamoto no Raiki and Imperial Wenjin were both slightly startled. Nobike's Kiyoshi became nervous. Who in High Mountain City did not know how frightening it was when Bat Mountain Master controlled the frost energy. He attacked without any warning, and with a thought, he could even freeze mountains within 500 kilometers into powder. Any piece of soil and stone in the divine realm was extraordinary. Even Cosmos gods would have to spend a long time to destroy a mountain range spanning 500 kilometers. Yet Bat Mountain Master could shatter it with a thought. One could see how powerful he was. Currently, the ice mountain that froze Dongbua Shui Ying was merely 30 meters tall, was condensed to the limit by Bat Mountain Master. Just this little power? A voice sounded. One could see the figure frozen within the 30 meters tall ice mountain strangely walking out. The ice mountain seemed undamaged. Dongbua Shui Ying walked out. He chuckled at Bat Mountain Master. Bat Mountain Master, there's no need to flaunt this little technique of yours. Let me have a look at your Bat Dragon. Currently, he had some control over the void of this world. At the very least, it was easy for him to void defay his body. He had completely voidified as one with the essence of the void. How could an ice mountain trap the void? Even though that frost energy was incredibly corrosive, after being weakened by the voidification, Dongbua Shui Ying's chaotic origin refinement body could easily resist against it. Look at my Bat Dragon. It isn't that easy. Bat Mountain Master coldly chuckled. Pung! The ice mountain exploded. One could see 300 ice shuttles condensing in the void. Every ice shuttle was covered in circles of black inscriptions. Looking carefully, those black inscriptions were actually condensed from many inscriptions. At the same time, when these ice shuttles condensed, they turned into streams of light that shot towards Dongbua Shui Ying. Dongbua Shui Ying suddenly turned into a thin line. Shua! His flying speed was extremely fast. Although the ice shuttle surrounded him, the thin line that Dongbua Shui Ying had transformed into was simply too thin. He could easily avoid the ice shuttles while flying the air, and none of the ice shuttles could even touch the thin line. As expected of an ascendant, his execution of moves is too profound. Bat Mountain Master's power seems stronger, but he can't even touch God Monarch Feishue. Many of the spectators exclaimed in their hearts. Just the flying technique that Dongbua Shui Ying was using right now was enough to make them exclaim in admiration. Bat Mountain Master stood in the distance and watched as the thin line drew through the air, easily dodging all the ice shuttles and closing in on him. This caused Bat Mountain Master's expression to change. My 100-killing extermination array is actually useless. This was the AoE killing technique that he was most proficient in. Every ice shuttle was extremely powerful. When 300 shuttles swept through the area, he could easily wipe out a large group of experts. Although he was proficient in AoE attacks, it was still effective against a single enemy. It was just that this god Monarch Feishue's movement technique was too powerful. He was actually able to dodge all of them. That thin line suddenly turned into a human figure. Dongbua Shui Ying wielded a spear and stabbed toward an ice shuttle in front of him. The spear tip clashed with the ice shuttles. The void bubble that enveloped the ice shuttles rapidly collapsed, turning into a black spot. This stab from the spear easily destroyed the ice shuttles. Every ice shuttle has the power of an early-stage god monarch. Dongbua Shui Ying made his judgment. 300 of them working together? Although each of them is too direct, the quantity makes up for this flaw. I wonder how strong is this famous Bat Dragon. He intentionally tested the power of the ice shuttles. Dongbua Shui Ying's figure flashed and appeared in front of Bat Mountain Master. His spear was like an illusion as it pierced towards Bat Mountain Master. Roar, Bat Mountain Master's triangular head was still as ugly as ever. He stared at Dongbua Shui Ying's incoming spear and let out a furious roar. As he roared, his triangular head began to twist, and many black scales grew on it, turning it into a triangular head with black scales. His body, however, turned into a wriggling body with a pair of sharp claws. This was a flying creature that was about 300 meters long, and its entire body was covered in black scales. It was a bat dragon. As it roared, the bat dragon pounced towards Dongbua Shuang. Oh! The spear tip clashed with one of the bat dragon's claws. A huge void bubble appeared and enveloped the entire bat dragon. It seemed like it was about to collapse, but the bat dragon's body was covered with countless black scales. Countless mysterious runes flowed on each black scale, forming a layer of ice armor. Pum! Although Dongbua Shui Ying's furious stab caused the collapsing void bubble to explode, only a portion of the ice armor on the bat dragon's body was shattered. The scales on the bat dragon's body were not damaged at all. Ascender, you are just a middle-stage god monarch. Are you trying to tickle me? This bat dragon roared. Its tail turned into an illusion as it whipped towards Dongbua Shuang. When Dongbua Shuang executed his moves, he had perfect control over his strength. For example, the collapse of the void bubble did not cause any damage to the surroundings. Just like before, when Dongbua Shuang dealt with the 3 god monarchs that ambushed him, he did not even manage to damage the walls of his residence. Although Bat Mountain Master's control over his strength was not bad, when he transformed into a bat dragon, even a tiny bit of his strength was enough to cause the surroundings to tremble. The entire battle stage was trembling. Hong, 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 both sides clashed, causing explosions to ring out. This was a battle stage that was specially used for sparring. Naturally, there were arrays revolving around, isolating the shock waves from the battle. What terrifying power! The expressions of the spectators changed as they watched. That bat dragon, that was more than 300 meters long, was roaming around the battle stage. It was madly chasing after that god monarch Fei Xue. Every single move of the bat dragon was filled with horrifying power. God monarch Fei Xue could not even injure this bat dragon at all. The bat dragon body cultivated by Bat Mountain Master is indeed formidable. Minamoto no Reiki praised. God monarch Fei Xue's control over his strength is formidable too. Even though he is merely at the middle stage god monarch realm, he is still at a disadvantage. Yet, he isn't injured at all. So what if he isn't injured? His techniques can't injure Bat Mountain Master at all. The little brother Imperial Wind Jean shook his head. Bat Mountain Master is ultimately one of the few experts within High Mountain City. Minamoto no Reiki added. God monarch Fei Xue is already very formidable. If he could reach the peak of God monarch realm, the one who would suffer would be Bat Mountain Master. Amen? The spectators were all startled, because God monarch Fei Xue, who was being chased around the battle stage, suddenly wielded his spear with both hands. He raised it high above his head before hacking it down on that bat dragon. Selah, after the spear swung down, the trajectory of the spear distorted the space, and it directly struck the bat dragon's body. The layer of ice on the surface of its body was directly broken, and its black scales were also torn. It directly cut open a hideous wound, and a large amount of blood splattered. What? The spectators were startled. Bat Mountain Master was even more startled. He can injure me? Bat Mountain Master was truly too cautious. He was too afraid of death. He immediately changed his combat strategy. He began roaming around with extreme speed and prioritized self-preservation. Occasionally, he would send out a claw or a tail for a sneak attack. It is rare to see someone so cautious and afraid of death. Dongbua Shui Ying sneered inwardly. The move that he executed earlier was the strongest killing move that he had grasped after learning the sky-splitting void sword technique. After all, he had a manual to refer to, allowing him to swiftly learn the profound mysteries of the Tao of Void in this world. With his foundation, he was able to deduce them very quickly. He could even easily condense the 5th level of Void Sword elemental energy. Using his new comprehensions and his own accumulations, he first created the sky-splitting Void stance. This stance barely had the might of a peak god monarch. Donghua Shui Ying's control over his strength was formidable. Even Bat Mountain Master, who had the body of a bat dragon, was immediately injured. Hong hong hong. Both sides continued to fight for over 10 rounds. Previously, Bat Mountain Master was unable to injure Donghua Shuang. Now that he was even more cautious, he was even more unable to injure Donghua Shuang. As for Donghua Shui Ying's newly grasped, sky-splitting void stance, he would be able to hit Bat Mountain Master every 3 to 5 rounds. Every time, Bat Mountain Master's flesh and blood would be sent flying. Stop, stop, stop. The bat dragon, which was flying in midair, immediately shouted. Donghua Shuang was shocked and stopped. The bat dragon instantly shrunk and transformed into the triangular-headed ugly old man, Bat Mountain Master. Bat Mountain Master was full of smiles as he exclaimed in admiration, God Monarch Feishue is truly impressive. I admit defeat. God Monarch Feishue is indeed stronger than me. Donghua Shui Ying was slightly stunned. He really did not care about his face. Good. God Monarch Feishue and Bat Mountain Master are truly impressive. Today, not only did we witness Bat Mountain Master's bat dragon, we were also fortunate enough to witness God Monarch Feishue's spear skills. Minamoto no Reiki stood up and smiled. Eldest young master, God Monarch Feishue's spear skills are truly impressive. A few more rounds, and I won't be able to take it. Bat Mountain Master's voice was hoarse, but he was still chuckling. Nobuke's Kiyoshi, who was beside her 2 brothers, looked at Donghua Shui Ying in shock. There was only one today. Chapter 1292. Nobuke's Kiyoshi's heart was filled with complex emotions. She originally wanted to save Donghua Shui Ying in the great wilderness because of her kind-hearted nature. She was also filled with admiration for Donghua Shui Ying, who dared to roam the great wilderness alone. After knowing that he was an ascender, she became even more curious about Donghua Shui Ying. Moreover, Donghua Shui Ying had just arrived in this world. He wanted to integrate into this world as soon as possible. Thus, he secretly used his Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm. Even though he didn't use it wantonly, it still greatly increased his charm. Back then on that ship, most of the people had a good impression of Donghua Shui Ying. Only a few people like Tai Changlu didn't like Donghua Shui Ying. As for Nobuke's Kiyoshi, due to the influence of the Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm, her impression of Donghua Shui Ying grew even more. She even took the initiative to invite Donghua Shui Ying to be her cultivation master. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Nobuke's Kiyoshi thought. God Monarch Feishue. Minamoto no Reiki had already laughed heartily. Hoo-hoo. Donghua Shui Ying and Bat Mountain Master flew out of the battle stage and arrived beside Minamoto no Reiki. Eldest young master. Donghua Shui Ying and Bat Mountain Master bowed slightly. God Monarch Feishue, this is your fault. You were so low profile previously. Who would have expected that you would be so strong, even stronger than Bat Mountain Master? Minamoto no Reiki smiled at Donghua Shui Ying. Speaking of which, I still have to thank eldest young master and 3rd young mistress. Donghua Shui Ying said. Thank me. Minamoto no Reiki was surprised. Nobuke's Kiyoshi was also stunned, her mouth slightly open. Donghua Shui Ying continued to smile. Actually, I was still slightly weaker than Bat Mountain Lord in the past, but because of eldest young master and 3rd young miss, I became a cultivation master and was able to exchange for a cultivation manual in the scripture depository, Void-Rending Sky Sword Art. After reading this manual, I was inspired and created a new killer move. That's why I'm slightly stronger than Bat Mountain Lord. What? Bat Mountain Master was stunned. He only comprehended a new killer move after reading the books in Scripture Library Hall. In other words, before entering the Scripture Depository, Sir God Feishue was slightly weaker than him. It was because he was too cautious. He only lost because of a non-life-threatening competition in the Makaz clan. No matter what, even if I acted earlier, I could not injure him at all. Bat Mountain Master advised himself. Donbua Shue Ying continued speaking to Minamoto no Raiki and Nobike's Kiyoshi from the side. That's why I said, I have to thank eldest young master and third young mistress. Especially third young mistress, who could save me when I was at my weakest. Haha, this is all fate. Minamoto no Raiki chuckled. How about this? I'll be hosting a banquet in the floating mountain palace today. God Monarch Fei Shue, Bat Mountain Master, God Monarch Jianin, and everyone else, come together. Let's celebrate for our high mountain city having an expert like God Monarch Fei Shue. There were 3 floating mountains above High Mountain City. They were originally the operating cores of the arrays. The Makaz clan constructed a palace on top, turning it into the most luxurious and enjoyable place in the entire High Mountain City. Currently, many experts gathered in this floating mountain palace. Many god monarchs came here for the sake of befriending God Monarch Fei Shue, who could suppress Bat Mountain Master. God Monarch Fei Shue, this one is called Chuan Qing. I am a small soldier of the mysterious fire army stationed in the High Mountain City. A silver-haired old man chuckled. So, it is God Monarch Chuan Qing from the mysterious fire army. Donbua Shue Ying was startled. He acknowledged. After searching through his memories, Donbua Shue Ying understood the various organizations in the High Mountain City as if he was familiar with them. This mysterious fire army represented one of the 3 great royal clans in the entire divine realm, the Golden Sacred Clan. Even though the 3 great royal clans were aloof and did not participate in the battles between the various organizations in the world, nevertheless, they still used many methods to influence the world. For instance, the Heavenswell clan. Almost every great city had a Heavenswell pavilion. For instance, one of the top 10 experts in High Mountain City, Xing Luzhu, was the pavilion master of the Heavenswell Pavilion in High Mountain City. For instance, the Golden Sacred Clan similarly had a small team from the mysterious fire army in almost every great city. Usually, there would only be 5 people. This bit of strength naturally could not influence the battles between the superpowers, but it allowed the Golden Sacred Clan to understand the entire world in detail. God Monarch Fei Shue, isn't your battle with Bat Mountain Master too quick? I haven't even rushed over to spectate the battle before it ended. Xing Luzhu also came over to chat with Donbua Shue Ying. Many of them came over to chat. Those who dared to take the initiative were at least god monarchs. Clearly, everyone was clear that such an expert would definitely influence the battles between the various organizations in High Mountain City. In the Divine Realm, teleportation had already become a legend. When 2 great cities battled against each other, they would have to ride on a huge ship and travel a long distance to the other city before attacking. Just flying would take a long time, and it had to be across the great wilderness. Hence, it was rare for 2 great cities to wage war against each other. A great city was akin to a nation of its own. For instance, even though Xing Luzhu and God Monarch Chuan Qing had the royal clan behind them, they had long taken root in High Mountain City. God Monarch Fei Shue. Nobike's Kiyoshi took the initiative to walk over. She walked to the side of Donbua Shue Ying before sitting down. An attendant immediately poured wine for them. Third lady. Donbua Shue Ying revealed a grin. He had the most favorable impression of this third lady in the entire High Mountain City. God Monarch Fei Shue, you are truly in the limelight today. Many god monarchs are treating you so passionately. Even my big brother has sent you a residence and attendance. Nobike's Kiyoshi said. Her tone was slightly melancholic. Donbua Shue Ying was stunned. This tone did not seem right. He could only respond with a smile. If not for third lady saving me, I might still be fleeing for my life in the great wilderness. Given your strength, God Monarch Fei Shue, I believe you should be able to survive through the dangerous phase and easily reach the nearest great city. Nobike's Kiyoshi softly snorted. Do you know that the previous time I rode on a ship and left High Mountain City, it was because I wanted to take Dawn Religion Master as my teacher. I don't. Dongbua Shui-ing muttered inwardly. How would I know if you want to take a teacher? The gaze of Nobike's Kiyoshi drifted. She softly said, It's a pity that Dawn Religion Master isn't willing to take me as a disciple. But that's right, I haven't broken through to the God Monarch realm and have a whole bunch of troubles ahead of me. Why would Dawn Religion Master take me as a disciple? Dongbua Shui-ing listened by the side. He did not interrupt. Not too long later. Either I have to go to Easternwood City, or... Nobike's Kiyoshi's voice became downcast. No matter which outcome it was, no matter if she became the plaything of that ninth prince of Easternwood City, or if Easternwood City was unwilling to help her, the Makaz clan would face a calamity. It was likely that she, Nobike's Kiyoshi, would no longer be able to take teacher. God Monarch Feishua. Nobike's Kiyoshi said. Amen. Dongbua Shui-ing was stunned. Can you be my teacher? Nobike's Kiyoshi suddenly asked. Be your teacher? Dongbua Shui-ing was startled. Third miss, is your bloodline related to the void? No. Nobike's Kiyoshi said. Then, I can't give you much guidance. Dongbua Shui-ing said helplessly. I'm just asking you. Can you be my teacher? Nobike's Kiyoshi looked at Dongbua Shui-ing. I'm the cultivation teacher of the Makaz clan. If Third Miss needs my guidance, I can naturally give it to you. Dongbua Shui-ing said. I need a real teacher. Nobike's Kiyoshi looked at Dongbua Shui-ing. Dongbua Shui-ing felt that this young miss seemed to have fallen into some sort of obsession. Accept her as a disciple? Dongbua Shui-ing hesitated for a moment. However, he still smiled and nodded his head. All right, I can accept Third Miss as my disciple. He owed this Third Miss a favor. It was fine if he accepted her as a disciple. Originally, he was just a passerby in this world. He had never thought of accepting a disciple. But since he owed this Third Miss a favor, even if he did not accept her as a disciple, he would find an opportunity to repay this favor in the future. Kiyoshi greets teacher. Nobike's Kiyoshi immediately stood up and formally bowed. Dongbua Shui-ing also accepted this bow. And from afar, Minamoto no Raiki and Imperial Wenjin watched this scene silently. They were clear that the only chance for the entire Makaz clan to survive was in Easternwood City. Even though the reputation of the ninth prince of Easternwood City was out there, their younger sister would most likely have a miserable life if she went. But they had no choice. This was for the survival of the entire Makaz clan. Take her as a teacher. This god Monarch Feishua was also one of the top few experts in High Mountain City. It was not a disgrace for the Third Miss of the Makaz clan to acknowledge such an expert as her teacher. How many of these people would truly live and die with my Makaz clan? Minamoto no Raiki and Imperial Wenjin looked at the many god monarchs within the palace hall. The disciples of the Makaz clan were born with the Makaz clan imprint, but there were still many experts who might help the Makaz clan fend off the enemies. But the moment the city was breached, these experts would likely watch helplessly by the side. If the master of the Demon Heart Society wanted to control this city, he would need to recruit a large group of experts. The Demon Heart Society was not willing to accept a city of death. Hence, Bat Mountain Master, Xing Luju, God Monarch Jian Yin, and many other experts. The controller of the city could change, but the majority of these experts could remain standing. Nobike's Kiyoshi seemed to be much happier after acknowledging him as her teacher. She spoke many things to Dongbua Shui-ing. Dongbua Shui-ing was also listening. Finally, the celebratory feast was over. Dongbua Shui-ing was about to leave with the others when Bat Mountain Master came to the side of Dongbua Shui-ing. He transmitted with a grin. Brother Feishua, previously, my Bat Mountain had some minor conflicts with you. Actually, it is all because of a brat called Tai Chung Lu. Tai Chung Lu? Dongbua Shui-ing nodded slightly. He already knew the truth after searching through his memories. He knew that it was that protector who hated him even after he slightly released his charm on the ship. I wish to ask Brother Feishua, how should we deal with that Tai Chung Lu? I originally wanted to kill him, but it is better for me to ask for Brother Feishua's opinion. Bat Mountain Master transmitted. Chapter 1293. How should we deal with him? Dongbua Shui Ying looked at Bat Mountain Master. Brother Fei Shue, you can deal with him however you want. Bat Mountain Master transmitted. Dongbua Shui Ying felt that this Bat Mountain Master did not have the pride of a great expert. But even though he did not have pride, it did not change the fact that Bat Mountain Master was one of the few experts in the entire High Mountain City. If Shui Ying did not use his Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm, it would be hard for him to deal with him. And after searching through his memories, he had never heard of anyone in the High Mountain City who had such a heaven-defying soul technique. Hence, Dongbua Shui Ying would not easily use his soul technique against powerful enemies, because the moment he used it, news would leak out, and he would no longer have peaceful days. I wish to go and see this Tai Chung Lu first. Dongbua Shui Ying transmitted. Good. That Tai Chung Lu is currently staying in my Bat Mountain. Bat Mountain Master was incredibly passionate. Both of them then left the floating mountain palace and headed towards Bat Mountain. Within High Mountain City, Bat Mountain occupied a relatively huge area. There are many buildings and a large group of subordinates. Within a huge palace hall, Dongbua Shui Ying and Bat Mountain Master entered together. There were already several god monarchs waiting here. Why aren't you greeting God Monarch Fei Shue? Bat Mountain Master roared the moment he entered. Greetings, God Monarch Fei Shue. These god monarchs immediately bowed. They, the higher-ups of Bat Mountain, had already heard that their leader, Bat Mountain Master, had lost by a level in a spar with God Monarch Fei Shue. Bat Mountain Master had transformed into a bat dragon, yet he was still injured. Yet God Monarch Fei Shue remained unscathed. This made them, who revered Bat Mountain Master, similarly revere this God Monarch Fei Shue. Brother Fei Shue, hurry up and have a seat. Bat Mountain Master said passionately. He and Dongbua Shui Ying sat side by side on the highest seat. The moment they sat down, Bat Mountain Master shouted, "Bring that Tai Chung Lu over." Yes. Very soon, Tai Chung Lu was brought in. His body was pierced with chains, and he staggered as he walked. His face was pale, and he was escorted to the main hall. He raised his head and saw Bat Mountain Lord and Dongbua Shui Ying sitting high above. How could that be? Tai Chung Lu was stunned. Didn't Bat Mountain send experts to ambush God Monarch Fei Shue? Didn't they lose 3 god monarchs? With such a huge loss and such a grudge, Bat Mountain Master still invited God Monarch Fei Shue over and even sat on the highest seat. He knew very well that losing 3 Sir Gods was a great loss to a force like Bat Mountain. In the past few days, he had been tortured terribly, and he knew very well how furious Bat Mountain was. I want to execute you directly. Bat Mountain Master looked down and said coldly with a hoarse voice, "But Brother Fei Shue wants to see you, which is why you are still alive." Brother Fei Shue? Tai Chung Lu felt even more indignant when he heard this. Bat Mountain Master, you are publicly acknowledged as one of the top 10 great experts in High Mountain City. 3 god monarchs died under you, yet you are calling the murderer your brother? Do you still have any face? Tai Chung Lu, before we met that ship, we have never met before, right? Dongbua Shui Ying said. We are strangers. Tai Chung Lu said with a low voice. I have never formed any enmity with you before, right? Dongbua Shui Ying asked. We did not form any enmity previously. Tai Chung Lu nodded. Furthermore, we have not spoken a single word before today. Dongbua Shui Ying continued. Yes, Tai Chung Lu answered. On the ship, Dongbua Shui Ying had used his Tao of Mirage and Illusory Realm technique to boost his charm. There were only a few who did not like Dongbua Shui Ying. The only one who truly hated Dongbua Shui Ying was this Tai Chung Lu. Since the other party hated him, Dongbua Shui Ying would not ask for a snub. He was also too lazy to step forward and say anything. You have never spoken a single word with Brother Fei Shue before, yet you still want Brother Fei Shue to die? Bat Mountain Master could not help but ask. That's right. I am curious too. Dongbua Shui Ying looked at Tai Chung Lu. Is it because of her junior disciple sister? When Tai Chung Lu heard the 2 words junior disciple sister, his expression turned ugly. His eyes turned mad as he sneered at Dongbua Shui Ying. God monarch Fei Shue is really well informed. Donghua Shuang nodded. After searching through his memories, he found out that ascendants had come to this high mountain city before. Furthermore, there were 3 of them. One male brought 2 wives with him. They were both ascendants. That male ascendant was called God Monarch Dongfang. His 2 wives were similarly beautiful. They stayed for a relatively long period after coming to the high mountain city. At that time, Tai Chung Lu's junior disciple's sister, God Monarch Xiao Shuang, was once saved by God Monarch Dongfang. Furthermore, the relationship between the two became closer. In the end, God Monarch Dongfang publicly married God Monarch Xiao Shuang. God Monarch Xiao Shuang was an early-stage God Monarch. Instead, it was his senior disciple brother, Tai Chung Lu, who was a peak-stage God General. He was weaker by an entire level. Tai Chung Lu was infatuated with his junior disciple's sister. It's a pity that his junior disciple's sister never fell for him. After God Monarch Dongfang married God Monarch Xiao Shuang, Tai Chung Lu harbored resentment in his heart. He even spent all his treasures to purchase poisons in order to kill God Monarch Dongfang. God Monarch Dongfang was injured because of this. But he did not kill Tai Chung Lu because of the face of his wife, God Monarch Xiao Shuang. Instead, he sealed Tai Chung Lu's strength and hung him on a flagpole in a wine shop within High Mountain City for a total of 3 days. During this period, nobody dared to release Tai Chung Lu. She is my junior disciple's sister. Tai Chung Lu gritted his teeth. It is my father who took her in and guided her in cultivation. That is why she is where she is today. She should originally be mine. That God Monarch Dongfang is despicable and shameless. He stole my wife. She is not your wife. God Monarch Xiao Shuang has never regarded you highly. That mountain master sneered from above. If not for my father, how could she be where she is today? Tai Chung Lu's eyes turned red. My father fell in the great wilderness, and she is ungrateful. God Monarch Xiao Shuang is not ungrateful. He helped you time and time again. Furthermore, God Monarch Dongfang treated you quite well too, allowing you to poison him successfully. That mountain master grinned. And in the end, God Monarch Dongfang even softened his heart and gave you a path of survival. What path of survival? This despicable and shameless person. Tai Chung Lu became even crazier. Is it related to me? Donghua Shuang suddenly said. Tai Chung Lu stared at Donghua Shuang. Both of you are ascendants. Donghua Shuang was speechless. Previously, he thought about it. This might be the reason. But this reason was too ridiculous. This Tai Chung Lu hated the ascendant, God Monarch Dongfang, and he vented his anger on him? You ascendants specialize in seducing women. That time, those female attendants on the ship and even the third lady were all incredibly passionate towards you. Tai Chung Lu gritted his teeth. Truly a bunch of madmen. Donghua Shuang shook his head. After confirming the reason why the other party wanted him dead, he was no longer interested in listening. He immediately said, Bat Mountain Master, execute him. All right. After Bat Mountain Master heard it, he directly acknowledged. He still thought that this God Monarch Fei Shue would be like the previous ascendant, God Monarch Dongfang, and give Tai Chung Lu a path of survival. Execute him? Tai Chung Lu became even crazier. He wanted to say something. Pung. Bat Mountain Master merely glanced at him. Endless frost condensed in midair and froze Tai Chung Lu, turning him into a huge ice block that was 3 meters tall. Following that, the ice block shattered. Tai Chung Lu had long been frozen to death. In terms of status, Bat Mountain Master was part of the upper echelon in High Mountain City. Even young Master Minamoto, No Reiki, and the others had to treat him politely. And this Tai Chung Lu was merely an ordinary member of the lower echelon. He was not even a disciple of the Makaz clan. It was still fine when his father was alive. Now that his father had fallen, his junior disciple's sister, God Monarch Xiao Shuang, had left with God Monarch Dongfang and the others. Naturally, Bat Mountain Master did not have any misgivings. The matter regarding Tai Chung Lu made Donghua Shuang relatively speechless. That god monarch Dong Fong did not kill him. He is still seeking his own death. Dongbua Shui Ying shook his head. As for Bat Mountain, even though he did not have a good impression of Bat Mountain, firstly, he did not suffer any losses after killing the 3 god monarchs of Bat Mountain. Secondly, he did not wish to reveal his terrifying soul technique just because of this Bat Mountain. Furthermore, Bat Mountain Master was indeed passionate and shameless. He even lowered his voice and apologized to Bat Mountain before revealing this matter. High Mountain City, within the new residence of Dongbua Shuiying. Because of the display of his strength, young Master Minamoto no Reiki was different this time. He was given a luxurious residence that occupied an area of 50 kilometers. He was even given a large group of female attendants to serve him. To young Master Minamoto no Reiki, since he was about to face a huge calamity, he would naturally do his best to rope in this new expert. As long as one knew how to be grateful, the more benefits he received, the more effort he would put in when fighting against external enemies. The following days became even more peaceful, other than the god monarchs who came to visit him, and his disciple Nobike's Kiyoshi who came to seek guidance. Dongbua Shui Ying had been meditating and comprehending the laws of the Tao of Void of this world. Chapter 1294. Within the residence of Dongbua Shuiying, on a pavilion that was more than 300 meters tall, seated cross-legged by himself, there was a table placed before him with a flask of wine that he liked. The white-robed Dongbua Shuiying frowned slightly. He cast his gaze across the railings at the vast high mountain city. Of the many teleportation techniques in this world, only the Great Destruction Realm teleportation technique has a chance of succeeding. Dongbua Shuiying thought. With the guidance of that scripture, sky-rending void sword technique, Dongbua Shuiying could naturally comprehend the laws of the Tao of Void in this world. Especially after 2,000 years of comprehension, many of his Tao of Void techniques had reached the peak God Monarch standard. Even his chaotic origin refinement body had reached the peak God Monarch standard. But he had yet to grasp the Void penetration technique. This world is too overbearing. It suppresses everything. Even the Void seems to have solidified. I can't teleport at all. Dongbua Shuiying shook his head inwardly. If one were to say that the origin world was like water flow, where one could easily teleport through the ripples of the water. As for the void of this world, it seemed to have been suppressed to the point of solidifying. Teleportation? That was a dream. Even the Destruction Realm teleportation technique won't work. Dongbua Shuiying could naturally see the essence of the void, those black fog spherical particles. When he tried to peer through the black fog spherical hole, he discovered that the other end of the hole was filled with terrifying golden lightning. The violent and chaotic golden lightning destroyed everything. His consciousness tried to peer through the black fog spherical hole. Yet the moment he discovered the golden lightning outside, it was extinguished. Too frightening. He could not even peek through the Destruction Realm teleportation technique, much less open a Destruction Realm teleportation technique. Great Void teleportation? The void is so solidified that I can't move at all. Even the Scarlet Cloud domain that distorts the void is useless. Dongbua Shuiying sighed inwardly. Teleportation, Great Void teleportation, Void distortion, Destruction Realm teleportation technique. In this world, there is no hope at all. Although the immortal realm was filled with experts, only a handful of legendary existences were able to use the void travel technique. They must be using something similar to the Great World Breaching teleportation technique. Dongbua Shuiying thought to himself. The Great World Breaching teleportation technique was theoretically possible, because as one of the apex traversing techniques, it was originally created to forcefully open a fine passage from an origin world to another origin world through the vast chaotic origin dimension. Even though this world, called Divine Realm, has a powerful spatial suppression, it is only comparable to the suppression in the chaotic origin dimension. Since I can travel through the chaotic origin dimension, I can similarly travel through this place. Dongbua Shuiying thought to himself. The only problem is the great world-breaching teleportation technique utilizes many laws of profound mysteries, and many of them are repelled by this world. It has to change. I'll use this world's void Tao's profundities to create a new great destruction realm teleportation technique. Donghua Shuang frowned. This was not easy. In other origin worlds, the laws of the Tao of void were grand. But this world was violent and chaotic, and the laws themselves were incomplete. Ascendants like them believed that the great Tao is incomplete was the law of the world. I'll use an incomplete Tao. Creating the great world-breaching teleportation technique is truly challenging. Donghua Shuang immediately focused on deducing. After all, he had grasped hold of the great world-breaching teleportation technique when he was a level 2 cosmos god. After reaching the final realm, he perfected the great world-breaching teleportation technique, allowing him to bring others through the chaotic origin dimension. Currently, he was confident of creating a simpler version of the world-breaching teleportation technique in this world. As Donghua Shuang was deducing the great world-breaching teleportation technique, a piece of bad news arrived within the Makaz clan. Within a luxurious palace hall, Yufeng Junshan sat at the highest position. Minamoto no Raiki, housekeeper Tong, and the 3 elders of the Makaz clan were here. They were the core higher-ups of the entire Makaz clan. Jiner is sent over a piece of news from Easternwood City. Yufeng Junshan said as he looked below. What did second brother say? Minamoto no Raiki hurriedly asked. The others felt their hearts tightening too. The divine realm was vast. After traveling for more than 2,000 years, the team of emissaries from High Mountain City, led by Imperial Wenjin, finally arrived at Easternwood City. They spent more than 100 years in Easternwood City, sending gifts and building relationships with various parties. They were even willing to marry Nobike's Kiyoshi to that 9th prince of Easternwood City. But the news that came previously did not come to fruition. We have failed. Yufeng Junshan's voice was calm, but everyone could feel the fury and unwillingness being suppressed beneath this calmness. Failed. Everyone present felt their hearts sinking. Even though they had expected this, since the news that came over the past few years were not good, they still felt flustered after knowing the final outcome. Our Makaz clan has sent over so many treasures for nothing? A red-haired elder from the Makaz clan could not help but roar out. Why? Do you think those greedy fellows from Easternwood City will return the treasures? I'm from Easternwood City. The eyes of Yufeng Junshan were filled with cold light. They sent treasures and roped in all the influential figures in Easternwood City for this matter. But in the end, they failed. Naturally, the treasures were gone too. Master, housekeeper Tong frowned. Unless second prince can't continue trying, are you so sure that there is no hope? Gina sent over a piece of news saying that an old thief Devilheart has joined Hidden Willow Valley Master. Yufeng Junshan said, why would Easternwood City offend Hidden Willow Valley Master because of my High Mountain City? Minamoto no Raiki, housekeeper Tong, and the 3 elders were stunned. Hidden Willow Valley Master? Hidden Willow Valley. In the divine realm, there were many innate chaotic origin life forms. For instance, Hidden Willow Valley Master was ranked in the top 3. His true body was a towering mystical tree. He was also known as the Hidden Willow Tree. Even if a group of god emperors attacked him, they would merely scratch his itch. He was so powerful that even the 3 great royal clans had to maintain respect for him. They did not dare to slight him. Most likely, only the 3 chaotic origin ancestral gods who created this world could eliminate Hidden Willow Valley Master. The status of an existence like Hidden Willow Valley Master was too high. Even if High Mountain City Master Yufeng Junshan wanted to join him, Hidden Willow Valley Master would most likely disdain him. The Master of the Demon Heart Society was ranked in the top 1,000 on the God Emperor list created by the Heaven's Heart clan due to his great improvement in strength. He was considered a formidable character in the entire divine realm. That was why Hidden Willow Valley Master accepted him as a disciple. As the body of Hidden Willow Valley Master was a tree, he rarely appeared outside. but he was still ranked 12th on the God Emperor list. The top 30 on the God Emperor list were all unfathomably strong. Just treat it as helping us suppress that master of the Demon Heart Society. Unless such a minor matter would alarm a legendary existence like Hidden Willow Valley Master, an elder could not help but ask. If there is sufficient enticement, Easternwood City Master might be willing. Yufeng Junshan nonchalantly said, but if it is just some ordinary treasures and marrying my daughter to that ninth prince doesn't even care about such a small benefit, much less Easternwood City Master. The ninth prince of Easternwood City was an old hand in dealing with women. They were merely women. That time, when ninth prince traveled to High Mountain City, even though he coveted Nobike's Kiyoshi, he did not wish to offend Yufeng Junshan and did not want to force him. Hence, he left very soon after. Clearly, Nobike's Kiyoshi would be delighted if ninth prince could get the treasure. She did not mind if she could not get it. Who can help us if Devilheart, an old thief, decides to rely on Hidden Willow Valley Master? Housekeeper Tong muttered. Why don't we escape? Escape from High Mountain City. An elder suggested. Escape. Minamoto no Raiki sneered. Some of the weaker members of my Imperial Wind clan might survive if they escape to other cities. But for us, an old thief Devilheart would most likely not let any of us off. Even if he is searching for traces of us, he would most likely hunt us down. That day, Nobike's Kiyoshi received the news from within the flower garden. Third sister, there is no hope over at Easternwood City. Minamoto no Raiki looked at his little sister. Nobike's Kiyoshi was stunned. Hasn't second brother arrived at Easternwood City and been thinking of ways? Even though she was unwilling, Nobike's Kiyoshi was willing to sacrifice herself for the sake of the clan. After all, without the protection of experts, the Imperial Wind clan would be exterminated. Similarly, it was impossible for her, a direct descendant, to escape. Chapter 1295. The Master of the Demon Heart Society has already relied on Hidden Willow Valley Master, who would be willing to mediate this matter for the sake of my little High Mountain City. Minamoto no Raiki sneered. His eyes were filled with agony. How proud was he? That time, he had once ventured into the great wilderness alone to temper himself. Currently, he was vaguely ranked second in High Mountain City, second only to his father. His sister sacrificing herself to save the entire Makaz clan was a disgrace to him. However, for the sake of the countless members of the Makaz clan, he had no choice but to agree to this method. But now that the Makaz clan had delivered itself to their doorstep, Dongmu City couldn't be bothered to accept it. Shame. But what could he do? Then what should we do? What else can we do? Nobike's Kiyoshi asked anxiously. At the very least, third sister, you don't have to go to that Easternwood City anymore. Furthermore, father and I will think of other ways too. That Devilheart, an old thief, has just broken through not too long ago. He should have many matters to attend to. It should be a long time before he attacks our High Mountain City. As long as enough time passed, everything would change. Even in the worst-case scenario, Ying could only rely on the geographical advantage of High Mountain City to resist against an old thief. Humph, if worst comes to worst, we'll fight a crazy battle. Even if we die in battle, we'll kill the many experts under an old thief Devilheart and make an old thief Devilheart pay the price. Minamoto no Raiki said coldly. Big brother, think of another way, Nobike's Kiyoshi said. Ha! Minamoto no Raiki gently touched his sister's head and said with a smile, Don't worry, just leave this matter to me and father. Nobike's Kiyoshi felt uneasy, but there was nothing she could do. Minamoto no Raiki then left. Nobike's Kiyoshi's heart was filled with fear as she watched her big brother leave. Although she didn't have to marry the ninth young master, the thought of the entire clan facing a calamity of extinction when her father, big brother, second brother, big sister who had married far away, and many other familiar people in the clan died, she felt as if her heart was being cut by a knife. She was willing to sacrifice herself to save her family. Unfortunately, Dongmu City didn't want it. What to do? What to do? Nobike's Kiyoshi's heart was filled with fear and unease. She could only watch helplessly as a great crisis approached, but there was nothing she could do. Even though the higher-ups of the Makaz clan felt uneasy, they did not leak out any information. Hence, the entire high mountain city remained relatively calm. Back then, the master of the Demon Heart Society and Yufeng Junshan only had a private grudge, and very few people knew about it. Hua! In the sky above a great wasteland lake far away from High Mountain City, a black crack flashed. A white-robed figure walked out from within. He was none other than Dongbua Shuang. Ha ha! We finally succeeded. Standing in midair, Dongbua Shuang looked down at the vast wilderness with a look of joy on his face. Even though the great world destruction teleportation technique that I've created is still very crude, it should be easy for me to travel through the firmament. With this technique, even though the celestial world is vast, everything will be smooth sailing. Dongbua Shuang was in a good mood. Previously, it was too troublesome to travel in this world. He could only fly slowly. From one city to another, he would most likely have to fly for several decades, even to the nearest city. It was normal for him to fly for millions or even tens of millions of years for the truly faraway cities. Easternwood City and High Mountain City were relatively close. Otherwise, Ninth Prince would not have traveled to High Mountain City in the past, because it was too troublesome to travel. Hence, even though the three great royal clans and some other terrifying experts were powerful, they could not form a nation with strict governance. In this world, the natives of the divine realm rely on their bloodline. But how many of them could use the great world destruction teleportation technique? Dongbua Shuang shook his head inwardly. As for ascendants, there are very few of them. Those who cultivate the Tao of Void are even rarer. The great Tao is incomplete. Using the incomplete Tao of Void to create the great world destruction teleportation technique isn't an easy task. I have my original experience and a clear direction. That was how I succeeded. As a result, there were only a few who could travel through the void in the entire divine realm. And now, there was an additional Dongbua Shuang who could travel through the void in the divine realm. Like Hidden Willow Valley Master and other famous absolute overlords, they could not travel through the void. They could only fly slowly from one place to another. This time I can do many things. Dongbua Shuang revealed a joyous look. High Mountain City. Dongbua Shuang sat cross-legged. Many scrolls were placed on the table in front of him. Tao of Void. Dongbua Shuang took a scroll and carefully read through it. These scrolls were information he bought from the Heavenswell Pavilion previously. The Heavenswell Pavilion was constructed by one of the three great royal clans, the Heavenswell clan. They could practically be found across the entire divine realm and were the most well-informed. The Tao of Soul in this world seems ordinary too. It feels like nobody is higher than me. Dongbua Shuang shook his head inwardly. Even though there are many innate chaotic origin life forms in this world, none of them specialized in soul techniques. There were more innate chaotic origin life forms here than in the Broken Tooth Mountain range. In addition, there were many experts here too. As they fought, there were quite a few corpses of chaotic origin life forms. Reaching the realm of Dongbua Shuang, researching the corpses of chaotic origin life forms was beneficial too, because those chaotic origin life forms did not cultivate step by step from being weak. Instead, they were born that way. Many of their bodies were manifestations of the laws. One could comprehend the corpses by researching some of their bodies. Like that thousand-eyed existence who died in the Broken Tooth Mountain range. That mysterious, I had guided the Tao of Mirage and illusory realm. But clearly, chaotic origin life forms that specialized in soul techniques were extremely powerful too. At least none could be found in this world. I can only research the Tao of Mirage and illusory realm by myself. Dongbua Shuang thought. Fortunately, the Tao of Mirage and illusory realm did not suffer from any resistance in this world. He could perfectly utilize it. Teacher, teacher. A sweet-sounding voice sounded. Dongbua Shui Ying revealed a grin when he heard it. He turned over. In this world, there were not many people he was close to. This disciple of his, Nobuke's Kiyoshi, was the one he was closest to. He waved his hand, placing another empty wine cup on the table. Third lady. The two female attendants respectfully bowed to her. Nobuke's Kiyoshi quickly walked over. Every step she took was accompanied by a flash. Soon, she arrived opposite Dongbua Shui Ying and sat down cross-legged. She did not stand on ceremony. She picked up the wine flask and poured herself a cup of wine. Teacher, let me accompany you to drink. What do you mean accompany me to drink? It should be you who likes to drink. Dongbua Shui Ying chuckled. Before accepting you as a disciple, I would not have thought that you liked to drink so much. Who asked teacher to have so much good wine? So much so that even my high mountain city doesn't have it. Nobuke's Kiyoshi chuckled. Dongbua Shui Ying chuckled. He did have a lot of wine. Most of it was casually brought over from the realm Heart Great Land. Other than a few unique wines, most of them existed stably in this world without any flaws. After all, the divine realm was vast. Who knew where new wines would be created? TSK, TSK. Nobuke's Kiyoshi drank a few cups before saying, Teacher, what are you looking at? Some intelligence reports I bought from the heavens will pavilion. Dongbua Shui Ying chuckled. Can I have a look? Nobuke's Kiyoshi curiously asked. Sure. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. Nobuke's Kiyoshi immediately picked up a scroll. Flipping it open, she nodded. Oh, information regarding cultivation scriptures related to the Tao of Void, and it is at the God Emperor level. Teacher, even though ascendants are formidable, and there are many who could ascend to the divine realm and become God monarchs, there are very few who could become God Emperor. It is extremely difficult to break through the threshold from God Monarch to God Emperor. There are indeed very few ascendants God Emperor. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. There are even fewer ascendants God Emperor cultivating the Tao of Void. In the divine realm, there were only a total of 8 ascendants God Emperor in the Tao of Void. As a result, there were very few ascendants cultivating the Tao of Void at the God Emperor level. Teacher, you want to find Tao of Void ascendants God Emperor cultivation scriptures. There are only 8 in the entire divine realm, and some of them aren't leaked out. There are even fewer of them. Nobuke's Kiyoshi could not help but mutter as she read through the intelligence report. There are indeed very few. Dongbua Shui Ying answered, but there were still some. Ascendants would also trade with other factions. For example, they would write down an original manuscript and exchange it for a certain treasure. An expert could write down quite a few original manuscripts. There were 8 types of God Emperor ascendants cultivating the Tao of Void. 5 of them were leaked out, and there were quite a few original manuscripts that were leaked out. However, most of them were collected by major factions. After all, God Emperor level scriptures were very important. They are scattered in the divine realm. It is too difficult to find them. Nobuke's Kiyoshi closed the scroll and did not look at it anymore. Dongbua Shui Ying smiled and continued reading. He was choosing his target. To others, the divine realm was too vast. But to him, after using the Great World Destruction teleportation, he would be able to reach any big city in the divine realm rapidly. Gulp. Nobuke's Kiyoshi was drinking wine again. Teacher, come. Let's drink together. All right. Dongbua Shui Ying replied. What he did not know was that before the Demon Heart Society's threat arrived, Nobuke's Kiyoshi rarely drank. Start you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.